Let me call the Oak Hill City Commission meeting to order at 6 o'clock. If we'll stand for a moment of silence, and then the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Gibson,
Here.
Vice Mayor Linlaw. Here. Commissioner McGee.
Here.
Commissioner Catigano.
Here.
Commissioner Hyatt.
Here.
Let me start by advising that our commission meetings are live streamed. If you should not want your face showing up on the live stream, you have the right to exit. But if you stay, you're given the right that you don't care that your picture is being taken. One other thing, public participation. Under Resolution 2006-17, there is a 3-minute limit if you wish to address the commission. We'll start with any modifications to the agenda. Commissioners?
I have a question about that. So, in this application here for Lazy Z, on the cover of it, it says, talks about the different billing records for engineers, planners, attorneys, and environmentalists, et cetera. It says that there's required before we're able to vote on that issue. So, do we have those, invoices and the paid invoices, or no? Because
Mr.
I don't see why it would be on the agenda if we don't have it, and why it wasn't in the agenda pack.
Whatever you have is what I have.
So we don't have them? No. Okay. So I would move that, I guess, make a motion that at least that one, and if any of the other ones are missing documents, that they be struck from the
Well,
agenda.
let's do that when we come to item H on the, and you can make that motion,
All right.
Commissioner. We have a presentation from the Oak Hill Sports Club, Don Anderson. And Aaron Anderson.
And Aaron.
Good evening, everybody. This is Don and Aaron Anderson, 569 Maytown Road. Just want to take a quick second to kind of give a state of the union of the Oak Hill Sports Club. First off, we had a great season. The field looked great. Every year we say it was the best season ever, and I don't see how we couldn't say the same with this. It was just a great season. We grew in such a way that our minors were actually playing against New Smyrna Beach this year. Usually it's just our majors, but now our minors and majors, which is 9 and 10, 11, 12-year-olds, played against New Smyrna for the second year in a row. We actually had a juniors team, which is 15U, that played against MIMS, so we grew in that direction too. We're going north and south. Because of that, the relationship that we have with the city of New Smyrna Beach, they've asked us to become a true co-op. In doing so, they want us to be Babe Ruth affiliated. That way our games against them and them against us all count for each other. And at the end of the year, our players will now be able to not only be qualified, but make an all-star team and play on the Babe Ruth All-Stars with all the other kids. So we really grew this year. It was a great year. And that's kind of what we are here today doing. Is being chartered is not the easiest thing in the world. It's not rocket science. We can get it done. But it's quite a bit of work. We'll have to use our club attorney, and there's a few things that have to be done. The good thing about that is that the Oak Hill Sports Club will now be able to create a true board membership, where we actually can get some families to help us do this stuff, and not only help us do this stuff, but eventually take this over someday. We've been doing this for 5 years now. We're very proud of where we got today, and love the club and always will, but at some point in time, we know that we're gonna have to hand this thing off to somebody younger and get the thing done. Also, coming here this evening to kind of create another relationship as we did this spring. We had the field contract and we had the date set for when we're practicing and when we're playing. I have that today from the city of New Smyrna Beach. So we have our fall season set. It'll be September 14th through November 20th. I have all that information. I'll be glad to email it to Jerome so we can get that all put down on paper and get it done. It won't be as heavy as a season as what the spring season is. You know, probably won't be concessions. We might only have one team per age group, or we have 2 teams per age group during the spring. So the majority of the games probably will be played in New Smyrna Beach. That being said, there will be some games that will be played here. They like to come in here too. That's the one thing that New Smyrna Beach people really love about our club is we play Saturdays, and we're not on the ball fields till 8:30, 9 o'clock during the week. So they really, really like that. So that's about all we had to say. I want to make it quick and appreciate your guys' support as always, and that new field and getting it done. It's a thing of beauty. It's a thing of beauty. I love it. So I'll get the dates to Jerome for this fall and make sure that we get everything signed up and get ready so we can try to do a fall ball season and keep the kids on the ball field 6 months out of the year instead of just 3. Thank you.
Good
Thank
idea.
you for all
Thank
your
you.
efforts.
Mayor, if I may.
Go ahead.
I want to commend them and the volunteers and the coaches for all they did. There was like 140 kids or something like that in that neighborhood that played out there, and watching all of them come together and the growth that they had from the first time they went out there on that field to the last games last weekend in there was tremendous. The sportsmanship, the camaraderie, there's friends that were made. So that kind of, and the parents and all that coming together, that helps our community build, right? And I'm very proud of that. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Mr. Adams, do we have any citizen participation non-agenda item?
Yes, sir. Duran Welch.
Thank you, Drew Ann Welch, 222 Cypress Avenue. I just wanted to take a moment and thank the entire commission and all of the citizens for coming out on Memorial Day and participating with that wonderful Memorial Day event that the Legion put on. It was beautiful, all of you being there. Joe, thank you for the mention in your newsletter. We appreciate all of the support that this community gives to the cemetery and to our work out there and to the Legion. It was really great. And if y'all went back and ate, you know that we had a full house and they almost ran out of food more than once at the Legion. Thank you all.
Thank you, Drew.
Thank you, Drew.
Anyone else?
Carrie Warning.
Carrie Warning, Indian Creek Road. Jerome, most of these questions are kind of directed to you, and I'm just wanting to try and do some follow-up. On the March 25th meeting, the commission had asked you to check with the county about homeless facility plans. Have you ever reached out to the county, and have they ever responded, and what are the plans? Also, at that meeting, you were told to go ahead and do some research for different banks so that we could get a higher interest rate. Never heard anything back. And the third one was on April 8th. You were given a bunch of locations that pertain to the Brownfield grant. I was just wondering if you ever pursued that Brownfield grant, or what the follow-up is on any of those things. Okay? So,
Thank you.
you could address it, we appreciate it.
Anyone else? Okay. City admin report, sewer hookup. Did you fill out a sheet?
No.
Yes, you do.
You want to bring it up there with me?
Please, ma'am.
Jerome.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Julie Wood. I want to make this very quick. I was born and raised in Oak Hill, lived here over 59 years, and I'm still Oak Hill. My father built this very building that you all have been having these meetings in. My mother was the first African-American mayor / female mayor of the city. And I wrote over $1 million worth of grants that the city got. That pier, the bird tower, and the other things, the $670-something thousand grant that was supposed to be used to repair houses that needed repairing here. The reason I'm standing here before you tonight is, I think it's Macedonia AME, I'm making sure I'm saying the right thing, church that the city now owns. That church was the first black church in Oak Hill. And the mayor told me the residents of the west side don't care, but history, period, all of our history, especially those who were born and raised in Oak Hill, is very important. We have a good, strong history. And I have a problem because a lot of the black history has been ignored. And that church is the last piece of history that we have as a people. And I'm told that the city wants to tear it down. I was told that it's gonna cost over $1 million to repair it, and I don't know who gave those figures because that's totally wrong. I'm repairing a church in Atlanta that's over 7,000 square feet, and it's a red brick historical church with roof damage, having to have a roof replaced, flooring, all kind of things, and it's not even $1 million to do those repairs. That's 2 buildings, the parsonage also. So I don't know who gave those figures, but I feel like it's being used as a reason to tear that church down. One thing that you don't realize is that church, as with all the old buildings here, it was made with tongue and groove wood, I think it's called. That has value historically. So I'm here to request nicely that their church not be torn down. There are grants available for historic preservation, and I want to see the city preserve our history. It should be made into a museum. Mrs. Betty Bellamy, I don't know how many of you know who Miss Betty Bellamy was. She was the root of our history. When she knew she was dying, she called me to her house, because she knew I loved the history. And she gave me the real history of Oak Hill and told me she wanted to preserve it. Give him my person. And I wrote a grant, and we did a video called Oak Hill, A Place in Town, that talks about all of our history. It's a very beautiful video. It was up on the city's website, but for some reason, it's been taken down. And when people come in here to request it, they're told nobody knows where it is. And that's a problem for me. And it should be a problem for you all, because it makes our city look so beautiful. So beautiful, and it's something for you to see. So I'm here because our history is important. We have a historical department. I don't know what they're doing because I haven't been here. I've been living in Georgia for 10 years.
Thank you, Julie.
Is that all you have to say?
Yes, time's up.
Okay. No comment?
The only comment's gonna be that it's under consideration.
Okay.
No decision, let me further say, no decision has been made. All we did was purchase that property.
Well, you're the
But
one that told me
no decision's been made on what direction.
that. And I just want you to understand that the city has a responsibility to preserve history. The city has that responsibility. It doesn't matter whether the blacks on the west side or the whites on the east side or the whites on the west side. Don't care. It's your responsibility to preserve our history.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
All right, anyone else?
Yes, Holly Tangler.
My name is Holly Tangler and I live at 222 Gary. I started alerting the city and Richard from Mead and Hunt back when Con Evans was still city administrator about the flooding of my yard and driveway. At that time, I was guaranteed by Richard Schwartz, the supervisor that was on site, that the problem would be taken care of. I have been calling the city and Richard ever since until Mead and Hunt left our subdivision. I have continued to call the city and Mead and Hunt. I also began doing research and I found out that when Mead and Hunt allowed Metro Equipment Services to change the drainage, it was a third-degree felony per state law. That's Title 21, subsection 298.66. I began calling other sources. All I have asked for is the small drainage swale to be put back in my yard so my driveway will drain into the stormwater drain on the road. Again, I spoke to Richard several times and he guaranteed me that it would be done before Mead and Hunt left the area. After almost a year and a half of walking through water to take my garbage out and get my mail, I'm extremely unhappy. Every time it rains, any substantial amount, I have standing water and mud for days. Originally, almost all yards and driveways across the street had swales. When Metro redid the driveways, they took out all the drainage swales in the yards and driveways. Now the water from across the road also runs into my driveway. I just want it fixed. I'm tired of walking through water. Also, the sewer pot was supposed to go between mine and my neighbor's house. They decided to put 2 pots in, which cost the city more, and put one in my yard and one in his yard because they didn't want to tear up the concrete between our 2 houses. Okay, the problem is, nothing ever got done. Richard assured me time and time again that everything was going to be taken care of before they left. Now I find out they put 2 sewer lids in my yard, one large, one small. I was told by Richard, you could drive a tractor trailer over that. Either one of them, won't matter. Well, a couple weeks ago, my brother drove into the yard, drove over the small one, and it came up out of the ground. I called and Mark came out and looked at it and said, don't drive over it, you're going to break the pipes underneath. Okay? I'm sick of being lied to by Mead and Hunt. They have done nothing but lie from the beginning. As far as I'm concerned, Mead and Hunt and Metro are both responsible and need to be prosecuted under the law and held responsible. There are fines and penalties that go along with changing drainage without doing all the proper studies. They did no studies. They changed it, and as far as I know, from talking to Mead and Hunt, it wasn't changed on the plans. The pot being moved between mine and my neighbor's house was not changed on the plans. There's just so much that they did wrong. Richard was supposed to be the supervisor over the job, and all he did was lie. And most of the time, he was not out there supervising. He was sitting up by the little store on the corner on his phone in his truck. There's no excuse for that, okay? He was being paid to do a job. He was supposed to supervise and make sure those people were doing the job correctly. And he did not do that. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had to come back and tear up my road to correct the upside down little things that they put in there. I don't know what they're called, but they put them in upside down. Therefore, they had to come back, tear up the road. Now, our road's all bumpy. It wasn't like that before. We had a nice, smooth road before they started, okay? Something has to be done. I'm tired of calling. I've called all kinds of people. I've even called our congressman. You can ask Jerome, the congressman, the attorney general's office have already contacted him. I want something done about it. I want them held responsible. I want my driveway and my neighbor's driveway fixed because they're connected. And I want something done about it and somebody to be held responsible. There are fines and penalties that go along with the drainage, changing the drainage. And if that's what it takes to make Mead and Hunt and their lying employees and Metro fix it, then I think the city should take them to court. Do whatever you have to do, but I want it fixed. I'm not gonna spend another summer walking through water. It's just not right. That's it.
We are in the process of trying to get the contractor back to Oak Hill, fix the roads, fix your drainage, etc.
I've been hearing that for over a year.
Well,
You get tired of hearing it after a while.
yeah, you do. Don't blame you. It's not right. And hopefully, we'll get a response from the contractor. The problem is with the roads, I fear they'll just say, keep the money, then we have to do something different. You know, I mean, it's a terrible situation. Don't get me wrong.
Well, they have broken the law though, both companies.
Well, I'm not familiar with that statute, but I'll take your word for it. And, you know, you hate to think that's the direction that we have to go in to get this all corrected.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not
But
fair
it's-
to anybody, but they should have done the work properly the first time.
Oh, no doubt.
And Richard Schwartz is highly responsible because he was sitting in his truck doing, on the phone, 90% of the time while he was in our neighborhood and they were doing work. Because, look, if he hadn't been, he would have known when he was supposed to check all those little things in the road, that they were upside down. But he didn't know because he didn't look.
Yeah, yeah.
He
Thank
was
you.
a sorry, lazy person, and he lied.
Okay, Mr. Adams, sewer hookup reimbursement assistance.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. As you know, we have a resolution that gave $2,100 to property owners to assist with hooking up to the sewer system. I reached out to the state to see if we could allocate more monies towards assisting residents. Finally heard back from them, they gave the approval. So what I'm bringing to you today is to see if we could adjust that number upwards from 2,100 to 3,500. And if that's agreeable to you, I'll bring a resolution back to that effect, and then we can start issuing those checks to property owners.
I have a legal question. Why do we need another resolution? Can't we just amend the one we already have?
You could, but you need a resolution, amended resolution. Doesn't matter which one you do.
I'm sorry, the train's not moving real fast. Okay, okay. I'm in favor of it. Do you need a motion?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion that we task the city manager to come up with the resolution for increasing the payment to what, you say, 3,500?
3,500.
Yes.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the commissioner? Call for the vote?
Mayor Gibson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lindlaw.
Yes.
Commissioner McGee.
Yes.
Commissioner Kitagano.
Yes.
Commissioner Hyde.
Yes.
That's $1,400 more, and what's gonna happen? Those individuals that have already been paid, the 2,100, you'll get an additional check if there's one due, because you paid over 3,500. But we'll reimburse up to that $3,500
So
for
long as you got the
everybody.
receipts.
Yes. Well, they got the receipts to get the 21.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
No, sir, that's it.
All right, consent agenda, minutes, May 13th, special meeting. May 13th, 2024 commission meeting minutes. May 23rd, 2024 special meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second.
I do have a question on the minutes for the 13th of May.
Okay.
There's a comment in there that Mr. Peterson said that I made a statement that he had, that I asked about whether he'd come for money or not. I'm not denying it, but I don't remember that dialogue. So, what,
You did.
okay.
I do remember it.
Well, in regards to what? Why would I ask him that?
You said that he was here to ask the city for money to pay for this vat pit. And that wasn't what he was here for.
I made a statement that's what he was doing? I
Yeah.
seriously doubt that. I may have
Well, you
asked,
can always pull up
I
the
may have
video,
asked a
Steve.
question.
You know, it's on video, so,
Okay.
you know, it is what it is.
Check it out and then correct the
Yeah,
I
minutes
will.
if necessary, yeah.
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote?
Mayor Gibson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lindlaw.
Yes.
Commissioner McGee.
I wasn't finished yet, but, no. I've got another question on, further on in there, that there's in line K of that same meeting, there's a 43,000 total cost not to exceed for the groundwater sampling. I don't believe that's correct number.
It is.
43,000
Yes.
Yeah, for that thing that up at,
Monitoring for the
for all
year.
the monitoring.
right.
Okay. Okay.
We had that number come before us before. I don't remember if that's the exact number, but it was up there like that. That's a large
It's a,
number.
it's a not to exceed, it says 43,000. I
Yeah.
didn't remember it being that high,
Yes.
so, okay. All right,
Anything else?
no, that's yes, then I changed my vote to yes.
Commissioner Catagano?
Yes.
Commissioner Hyde.
Yes.
Next agenda item is city attorney.
No comments.
None? Okay. City planner. Variance for 104 East Ariel Road mini warehouses.
Michael Graff,
Mike.
Code Enforcement, City of Oak Hill. Yeah, I'm gonna make this quick and kind of combine them real quick. The variance for 104 East Ariel and the special exception for 104 East Ariel mini warehouses. I submitted the letter, Ms. Rodriguez, that you had and that you just read. Her concerns that she lives right across on the street from the new development and that she lives at 796 Indian Harbor. Her concerns are that one, the traffic going in and out of different hours, the drug addicts, the alcoholism behind the store, whatever like that. Again, 24-hour traffic possibly, possibly an apartment building on the second floor. Mr. Green is in the audience today, and I spoke with him. It's just gonna be vacant space for the time being. He wants to build the mini warehouses, but her concerns, I just wanted to voice and make that for the record right there. We have the planner right here in the audience too, which he can explain stuff a lot better than I'll ever can. So if you excuse me, like I said, he's gonna speak on the variance, and if you can vote on that, I appreciate it, and then the special exception from the 104 East area. Also, I have to add, back in September 12th of 2022, you voted the approval for, obviously unanimous, for Mr. Green to have these special activity and a special exception and variance. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Graham Long with Calvin Giordano and Associates, City Consultant Planner. Yeah, this is actually, it's technically two separate applications for a variance and for a special exception for the mini warehouse use. The approval, as Mr. McGrath stated, was originally both of these, you approved both of these in September of 2022. Since that time, there's this 12-month expiration date where the use has to actually commence on the site, or else both the variance and the special exception expire. So that's why the applicant is back before you tonight. The mini warehouses, the applicant's proposing 14 of them, are a permitted use only by special exception in the B1 zoning district. The variance is actually for a setback. Typically, in the B1 district, it requires from each structure to the lot line a 10-foot minimum setback, except when the property is adjacent to a residential designated property on both the future land use and the zoning map, in which case it requires a 35-foot setback. The applicant's not asking to deviate from the standard 10-foot setback. They're asking for a variance from the 35-foot setback, which we recommended approval for simply because the intent of the 35-foot setback is being met, because the actual residential uses that are on the adjacent property, there's plenty of buffer that they won't be within 35 feet of this business use of the warehouses. So I can ask the applicant to come up to explain a little bit about the use and the status of the application.
Keegan Green, 104 East Ariel. Do you guys have any specific questions regarding the property?
The timeframe that we met and approved in 2022, you allowed the contractor that was doing the sewer work to utilize your property, is
We
that
did.
right?
They used it as a lay-down yard, yes.
Okay, so
They-
that's why
They originally said 8 to 10 months, and they were there for 16, so
yes,
we
I thought
kind
so.
of had to evict them after a while.
yeah, so that was the delay.
Good
Okay.
old Mead and Hunt again, yeah, you know, throw that name around some more.
What's the hours of your operation?
So, just to clarify, the storage units, there will be 24 storage units. Those will be just like pretty much any other storage unit facility. They will have like a 10 p.m. closing time, 6 a.m. open time. But the actual office building that's there is not even related to the special exception. That's going to be my office for Florida Quick Steel and Green Construction, which is my company. That's just our personal office space, which will just be, you know, regular business hours, 8 to 5, appointments, that kind of thing on the weekend. But you know, it's strictly just office space. It's not even related to the storage units typically, other than just the, you know, handling of the contracting for the units.
Okay, but the contracts will be in that office space?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Could you say those hours of operation again? I didn't catch.
So like typically on a storage unit operations, usually 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. is kind of a standard. Like if you go up the road to Edgewater, you know, we'll have a kind of a closing time on them, but it will be under 24-hour surveillance. But you know, the idea and the concept of the whole project was to cater to the people in the Indian Harbor community. So it would be your, you know, your fellow neighbors. You know, we're not looking for drug dealers and people operating.
I had got a call.
Anything nefarious out of there.
The reason why I had got a call yesterday from a person that lives up there, and they were concerned about, if it would be like a 24-hour thing where somebody can punch a code and go in there and get to
I mean, we didn't intend to put a gate that would open and close on the front of it, but, the rest of the property would be fenced in and the road coming in. We hadn't planned for a gate, but we can put a gate if the city would request that. I mean, that's not a problem. And we can just lock it out between those business hours from 10 PM to 6 AM.
Is that what it would take to hold
I mean, that's
an
kind of,
anxious
like, that's
customer
how,
to?
like the storage unit up the road in Edgewater, that's how they operate. The gate won't open after 10 PM and before 6 AM.
I got
So, I
you.
mean, we could do something similar if that's a major concern of the community.
I think that would be good so that there aren't people.
You're
coming in
controlling
and out all hours
access.
of the night, just
Yeah.
personally.
The gate would also keep vagrants and things like
Yeah,
that
that's,
out
it's
too, right?
controlling access, yes.
Right, I mean, yeah, you don't want people just walking in, but.
I mean, I
One-
hate
So
to
one of the
do something.
things with the way the city's code is written, and the planner might be able to tell you this, on the west side of the property, adjacent to the gas station or store, whatever it is, I was told that I couldn't put a fence there. It has to be just a landscape buffer, because it's, in the code, it says landscape buffer. If I wanted a fence there, like a privacy fence or any type of fence, I have to get another variance for that. So that was something that was just brought to our attention within the last month. So we haven't even gone to that process yet. We don't have a fence drawn on our site plan now because of that. We just have hedgerow on the west and the south, and we have privacy fence on the north and the east against the residential and the county line. So that was a gray area with the city, that they said we couldn't have a fence there. So we haven't got to that point yet. That's apparently a whole nother variance.
Graham, I gotta,
Yep.
go ahead.
Sorry.
So the applicant has to come back for a site plan approval anyway, and that's something that what we can speak about, we can work together also. I'm not sure the specific part of the code and if it would require a variance for a fence there, but if so, we can avoid that through the site plan approval process, which will be the next step. And there's actually more that we can ask of the applicant to include in that plan, and it gets a more thorough review. The special exception here is solely for the use. So this is just to have the mini storage units there. We look at fencing, we look at landscape buffering, we do a much more thorough review of that when we actually come up for a site plan approval.
Have you done a storm drain, water drainage?
All that's done. Everything's been approved. Everything's approved with everybody. We just gotta come back for the final development order for you guys. Everything's been approved through everybody. Fire, Mead and Hunt, whoever, all these people that have been involved over the last 2.5 years. That's all been approved. So
Okay.
We're ready to hand you the paper. We thought that's what we were doing, and then we were told that these special exceptions and variances
Had
expired,
expired.
Right.
which were unbeknownst to us, but, that may be something needs to be rewritten in that ordinance about, maybe if you're in the permitting process, it shouldn't expire, I wouldn't think. Because it literally took us 2 years to go through the permitting process.
And essentially, you feeling like you got kind of stuck because you tried to do something nice and
Well, I got an
Cost you-
approval, and
made
then
the
I went
clock
spent a
run
bunch of
out?
money, and now I'm here getting that approval again. So like I got approved for something, and I went to spend a bunch of money in engineering and drawings and permits and all this stuff, and then to say, hey, well, you might not get it now, that's kind of a kick in the face. Because, we did apply for the permits within that 1 year, but it took several, we were mainly, again, dealing with Mead and Hunt back and forth with a bunch of non-participation on their act, drug things out a little bit, so, we were back and forth a bunch.
And the way the property is currently zoned, it's not eligible for a storage unit? B1?
It's a permitted use only by special exception.
Exemption.
So we can't review the site plan unless the special exception, and in this case, the variance is approved. So what the applicant's stating, all the preparation work that he had to do for the site plan, that's what we would ask for. So in this case, if the special exception, if you approve that and the variance, then we could probably bring the site plan before you pretty quickly. Normally, it would take more time because all that work hadn't been done and submitted yet. But in this case, due to the expiration from over 2 years ago, then it should happen pretty quickly.
It's all, yeah, it's all,
And is
like
the-
it's been approved through everybody.
Is the city asking for anything for the exception, like the fence, for instance? I mean.
No, not more than what's been submitted already, because
I
we have
got you.
specific review criteria for a special exception, and again, that's just for the use. So the question on the fence will come up during the site plan approval process.
So we're essentially
And you
giving
can-
an exception, but not getting anything in return for it, other than just to approve something on a parcel that's not zoned that way.
It's just for the use. So the special exception is just whether you permit, you approve of the permitted special exception use for mini warehouse. As far as the design of the lot, that happens during the site plan approval process, which results in the development order.
Well, I would be more inclined to vote for this if we could get something on the record now about the fence.
You can. There's, section 24-981 authorizes the city to impose on the grant of a special exception any conditions or safeguards not otherwise required if deemed necessary or desirable in furthering the purpose of these regulations. So you could say, so in addition to the review criteria, you can say, as a condition of special exception, your hours of operation shall be 6 to 10, and that there will be a fence. The unique thing about requiring a fence around the whole property is our code apparently doesn't allow that. So that kind of creates a unique situation.
Yeah.
We're asking to do something that
Yeah.
may be a gray area, but we can look into that. But you can put conditions on special exception.
I got you.
It
And
seems
Right.
like it would be difficult
Sir, do you
to
feel
secure
like-
it if you didn't
I'm
have
sorry.
a fence all the way around.
Yeah.
You know, people could just walk around the
Yeah.
gate and into the property, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, it's just.
Well, again, we would want the fence definitely on the west side. I mean,
Right.
if the front was open, it wouldn't bother me that much, because, it's under video surveillance and there was only one way in, one way out. But the fact that that west side's open, and we do have a lot of streetwalkers out there,
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
the fence on the west side, but I was told I couldn't have it.
Do you think that by us imposing that on you, that would create an undue hardship or anything like that? Yeah, all the way around?
No, I would love.
In the gate?
That'd be fine, yeah.
I don't see.
Are you good with the hours of the 10 to 6 which you proposed?
Yeah.
If that's in the condition? And you're the one, you mentioned that you had 24-hour surveillance, so if that was a condition of the special exception.
Yeah, I mean, I have surveillance on it now. I have my temporary office there in the shipping container. It's got
Okay, so you-
cameras on it now, so it's.
So those are conditions that y'all can put on the approval, and then we can find a way to address the special exception. Worst case scenario, it comes as a variance.
For the fencing?
Indicated.
That sounds good to me.
We need a motion.
Can we do them together, or do we?
Yeah, what you would do is a motion to approve the special exception with the conditions of the property being fully enclosed by a fence with a gate, including a gate along the front, that there be 24-hour video surveillance, and that there be, hours would be,
6 to
between
10.
6 to
a.m. and
10,
p.m.
Yeah.
right.
That would be the motion.
That's
You
a
got that,
mouthful,
Mr.
Steve. That's a mouthful.
Yes, it is.
I make a motion that we approve the variance, right?
Just say
And
what I said.
Yeah.
Right, and then the variance and the special exception to provide a security fence around the perimeter of the property with a gate and with controlled access and operating hours between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m.
24-hour.
and 24-hour surveillance, camera surveillance.
The only question I have, should we address the height of the fence, or not? Does the code adequately address that?
The code addresses that.
Okay, it's only, 6 foot.
6 foot.
6 foot.
Yeah.
Maximum on the code.
Right.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any comments or questions from the citizens?
I did get one phone call in regards to this property. It was
Okay.
against approval.
Me too.
Paul Davis.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
It was actually from his wife.
I would say you should disclose all your ex parte communications. This is a quasi judicial hearing.
Okay.
So
That was
those were two.
the only one I had for that one.
He also. I haven't had any.
I haven't had any.
None.
Okay.
Call for the vote.
Mayor Gibson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lindlaw,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
Yes.
Commissioner Catagano.
Yes.
Commissioner Hyatt.
Yes.
Next up, special exception, 349 Ward Drive, boat sales.
That's special exception. The PLDRC approved it on May 16th, 2024. And again, there's an add-on to the agenda with your notes right there. What Roger proposed was basically, instead of having that post and rope going on the north and east side a little bit, he wants to put up an aluminum security fence approximately 6 feet high, which he's actually going to upgrade the property because of theft, security, the whole 9 yards. So we felt, when I talked to the planners, since it's an upgrade, he didn't really change it that much from rope and, vendor can step up a piece of rope and steal anything from the property. What he's trying to do is deter or make the area still outside sales of boats, which is visible from US 1, but he wants to deter obviously theft. And the other thing is, like I said, coming out of Ward Street, when you want to look north and south, whatever like that, or head south, obviously the visibility triangle will be far enough back where it's not going to impede the vision with having a solid fence there. Again, Mr. Page is in the audience, and if Mr. Grant's going to speak on it too.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to note, this is, the special exception here is for the construction and use of an outdoor storage facility. So the applicant is expanding business on the opposite side of Ward Drive. And this would be outdoor storage for boats and other items. And so we got a preliminary, a concept plan that we feel meets all the criteria for a special exception in this case along Ward Drive. And I'll ask the applicant to come up and just do a brief overview of the application.
Good evening, Roger Page. I currently own Boat Ranch Storage Facility at 440 North US 1, which is the property right next door to where I'm asking for this special exception. So as stated, that's exactly it. We're just kind of expanding the business. So at 440 North US 1, when I initially got the special exception for that, it included sales in that property along with storage. So all I'm doing now is expanding the business into the property next door. The main focus on the property next door will be sales, not storage, but it still kind of falls within that same original special exception.
They're not gonna be doing any repairs or fiberglass work or
No
warranty work on the boats or
fiberglass
anything?
work, but there is gonna be a repair shop, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, so we've got, it'll be a 6-bay shop that will be built on the southwest corner of the property. That's on the plans, you can see the
The whole
building on there.
property gonna be fenced?
Yes, sir. Yep, so then on the plans, we show on the west side and the south side will be PVC fence, exactly like I have it at the
Right.
storage facility. It'll be a solid, because that backs up to residential on that back southwest corner there.
And the other part?
The other part will be the aluminum fence. So Ward Drive side and US 1 side will be the aluminum, decorative aluminum fence. And then the other two sides will be the PVC, solid PVC fence, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Just a question. Why do you have the people that are coming to buy a boat park on the other side of the street in the plans? I thought I noticed that parking was there.
So there is parking there. There's parking on both sides, actually. So we've got some parking on that side, and then I've got extended parking, which will be on the,
North, right?
well, it'll be on, northwest side of the 349 Ward Drive. I set parking there in the plans as well.
And that's for overflow parking?
Right, so it'll be that, and then we'll have parking over on the 440 US 1 side.
So the plans as you submitted have adequate parking according to our ordinance?
Absolutely, yes,
I
sir,
gotcha.
yeah. And I've already got, since on the 440 US 1, I already have handicap parking over there. It's just easier to just utilize that. And since the properties connect, then it just falls into line with it, still serves both sides.
Is 441 the north side?
Yes, sir. 440 North US 1
So-
will be the north side.
You just said something that seems odd to me.
Mhm.
So handicap parking, you're putting them farther away than a regular customer that can,
Well, no, because the office is right there. So the office for the storage facility will now become the office for the boat sales.
but what
So
if somebody, oh, okay, so the office for boat sales isn't gonna be on the,
No,
Right.
no, it's not on this.
I
Only the
understand.
repair shop is the only building that will be on this property.
I got you.
Yeah, so, and customers, as most repair shops aren't allowed into the shop. So they'll handle all business right there in that office.
I got
Which
you.
again, already has the handicap and everything already there.
What kind of boats? Just out of curiosity.
So we're doing, right now I've got XL boats, which are aluminum. They make aluminum bay boats and duck boats. And then I'm bringing in Tahoe pontoons will be here in July. I just need this exception, so I have somewhere to park them because I'm out of space down there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we're carrying good lines, good products. It's nothing cheap. You know, it'll be a higher end product on both sides.
Any other questions? Need a motion?
I have one thing that I wanted to ask, and it's back to what I had said at the beginning of the meeting, and it's nothing to do with you. This is a paperwork thing.
Yes, sir.
Do we know if we have everything that we need to do the vote right now from,
What I would do, you know, I was looking to see what we require in our code. I don't know if our code requires that we be reimbursed for application. I know the application says that, but I don't know, our code just says that we adopt a resolution, setting the fees. And I've not been involved in that, so I don't know if this commission's actually adopted an ordinance or resolution stating that it shall be reimbursed all consultant fees in addition to application fees, or was the application fee intended to cover consulting fees? I don't know what the city has historically done. So what you could do, Jerome can look into what historically has been done, and what I would just do is, if it's a requirement that the city has adopted a resolution or an ordinance saying that they have to be reimbursed all external consulting fees in addition to the application fee, then, you know, this is, approval is conditioned on payment of that. And it's really for the one before this too. That was also a variance or special exception too.
Yep.
That was the same thing. So I would just say make it a condition on if it is a requirement, and we've adopted a resolution or ordinance to that effect, then it would have to be paid.
it definitely says it right here.
It does, but I don't know if that was a foreign copy, the city staff copied that from another city and just started using it. Y'all have to, the code says y'all have to adopt a resolution setting application fees.
We did adopt a resolution for fees.
And so if that says this is the fee plus all our consulting fees, then yes, it would have to be paid.
That's what it says.
Does the resolution say that? I mean, the application says that. I would have to look at the resolution. As long as the resolution says that, then I would make it contingent on payment of those fees.
Yeah.
It says that we do not give any approval of any application until shall be given until such fees are collected.
So if it's contingent on that payment, then approval wouldn't be given. Approval wouldn't become effective until they pay.
Until that.
Well, that's a double-edged sword,
That
isn't it?
sounds
Because
good. That's
is he gonna
not
pay an
clear on
application
which
fee that we
fees.
turn around and deny? I said, isn't that a double-edged sword? Is that, you know,
I don't
he
know
pays
how
a
it's been
fee and then we
historically
say
done.
no?
So I don't know how it's been historically done. This is the first time
This
it's
is,
ever been raised.
we've just passed that
Yeah.
fee schedule and all. This is, so we're learning as we go with adding the
If it's
consulting
rejected, we'd
fee.
have to return the money, obviously.
Yeah.
I think we should wait until we're sure. I mean, I don't even understand why, if you have it on this application, why those receipts and invoices weren't included in the,
First time it's ever been raised to me. I don't know. You didn't contact me before.
so, well, somebody had to put that in there. You'd think they'd be like, oh, here's this, so let's put all that in there as
They could have
evidence.
copied it from
I mean, how
another
can
city.
the commission make a sane,
They-
rational judgment if they get, you know, this, now we're like, oh, well, maybe we'll do it this way, maybe we'll do it that way.
Well, the payment of the fees doesn't have anything to do, should have nothing to do with the decision you make.
It
That should
says
say
right here
something.
that it's contingent. We can't
And
do, we
I just
can't
said
make a
it's contingent.
decision until
I
it's
said
done.
the approval can't become effective.
No,
can't
that's
issue
not what it
approval.
says.
So if you make it,
It doesn't
if you
say
make the
that.
approval contingent,
Oh, my God.
then it doesn't become effective until they pay it.
Oh, boy.
Excuse me, gentlemen, what, I doctored the ordinance, remember, the ordinance is 2023-09, but there should be a 16 after that. Yeah, November 3rd, 2023, because I wrote it, Mr. Catagato, remember we had the one, the 2309 one, we didn't have the verbiage where all the consultants had to be paid.
Right.
So they had all the owners, all the applicants had to pay us no matter what. Problem is, in the process, we have to get the final payment bill from these guys doing the process. So I collect the check up front for the fee for X amount of dollars. That's for the planner. So the planner's working it right now. Now, when everything's completed, then we send them another bill. Now, if they don't pay the bill, then guess what? You're not gonna get the special exception. So you see where I'm going with this? It's like, you know, we're gonna send you a bill for X amount of dollars, and then we'll actually do the special exception for you and file it. If you don't, that's our leverage right there. Because we don't know what the estimate is, how much Graham is charging right now. So we get the money up front for X amount of dollars, like advertising. I know pretty much how much for an annexation advertising. It's around $1,500 per ad times 3. So I already cut the check for $4,500 to start the process for Mr. Allister. So it's a catch-22. I realize it's, how do we determine how much
I'm just gonna
the
read
cost is
this one
until we
more
get the
time,
bill?
if you don't mind. Anything billed to the city for any review by engineers, planners, attorneys, environmentalists, etc., will be passed on the developer applicant and onto the developer applicant. No approval of any application will be given until such fees are collected.
My thing is,
It's
we don't
not
know how
very
much-
ambiguous.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, unless we're looking for a way to get around that,
Again, we
then
don't
I
know
don't
what the cost
understand why
is.
this is even in front of us right now.
It's your decisions. Like I said, it's,
I believe my personal feeling is that the contingency of paying the final fees, right, give our approval contingent on the final payment of fees.
That's
They'll
not
pay
what
it,
this
then they don't get
says.
it.
That's not what this says.
Then you will never get a permit ever on anything if
Then we
you
need-
follow that by the
Then we need to
letter of
then
law.
we need to
We
change it.
have the
Steve.
authority to
Change
do
it.
that.
Then we need to
Yeah.
change it, but we can't change it
Yeah.
right now in midstream.
We can make it contingent, we can.
No, we can't, not
Why
according to
can't
this.
we? We can change,
Because
we
what it
can
says, it's our
approve
own
anything
ordinance.
here.
It's our own ordinance. We have to follow our own ordinances, Steve. We just can't just willy-nilly change things as
I'm
we,
not willy-nilly.
whatever fits your feeling that day. I'd make a motion that we take this off the table until we know that, until we get the fees and collected, and we put out a proper agenda with the fees, invoices included in there, like it should have been in the first place.
You have a motion, is there a second? No second, motion failed.
I make a motion that we accept the request, all right, for the special exception with contingency of
Contingency,
paying of the
yeah.
final fees.
Within 30 days.
I don't know how long how long is it before the engineer is through with his part? I mean, that's what they were just talking about before,
But this was,
Like you're saying, done, right? I mean, he said it essentially.
is our timeline,
Well, this, again, the other issue is that this has to come back for site plan approval
Right.
also. So there's gonna be additional fees, and I don't know what the city charges for them, but there's gonna be additional fees and time associated with that. It's, in my opinion, it's actually harder for me to estimate what the fees would be for that, because the site plan approval is a much more thorough review, and there can be a lot more back and forth changes to the plans before we bring you something that we can recommend approval on. So for the, the special exception is a narrower scope, so it is usually, unfortunately for these applications tonight, I don't have for you exactly what the estimate would be.
Graham, this says no approval of any
you
application.
read that 4 times now.
Yeah, I'll keep reading it.
Well, then-
It's my right to read it as many times as I want, Steve. And this says special
Point of order.
exemption.
We have a
Boys.
motion.
Can't we do anything right up here? This is a disgrace.
Everything we need for
Not for a
Yeah,
second.
yeah,
I got you, okay. See, last time I did this, it was all in one.
Right.
Done it one time.
right. And that can vary, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Excuse us.
So the reason I was asking that question is because I'm trying to figure out timelines as well. So now you're putting, new burdens on businesses coming in by doing this, which is fine if that's what the city wants to do, but that needs to be clear to businesses during the application process, that we're gonna have extended times. Because that's all right, every day that we're not in business is more expense out of our pocket. So again, I just ask that, once you guys do make a decision, that is clearly given. And that's what the conversation we were having, is kind of more of the process and what that's gonna take and entail.
And again, I don't think that this is your fault at all, sir.
No,
This is our own
absolutely,
city
yeah.
doing stuff willy-nilly like they have been doing for the last 12 years.
Just
Whoa.
according, just so I can be clear, because this is gonna come up on the next application also, if that's before you tonight, that it's to get to a final site plan approval and a development order to be issued, you have a multi-step process in the code. Some of those steps can be combined and done simultaneously, like we did for the previous application, with a variance with a special exception. That part of the process, if it's even applicable, because not every application you'll get for a site plan will involve a special exception or a variance. But a site plan approval is a two-step process after that, a preliminary and final site plan approval. And this is all laid out this way in the code so that the different steps have different review criteria. Typically, and in other municipalities where I work and my company works, there's a fee associated for every step of that process, whether it's a flat one or it's cost recovery for the amount of time that we had to bill, since that can vary greatly based on the complexity of the application. But that's typically how that's structured. And whether or not, parts of the application, the development review process are done simultaneously or done in tandem, the fees associated with each one of those have to be paid. Whether that happens before or after the work is done varies by municipality.
Well, our municipality just recently adopted a ordinance, and what they were trying to do was to protect the taxpayer from because up to just 6 months ago, the taxpayer was paying all these fees for applicants, no matter what the size. And so we finally get an ordinance passed that's what was designed to protect the interest of the taxpayer, and here we are. Well, to hell with it. Let's go on, even though
Nobody's
it's right in
asking
front
the
of us.
taxpayer to pay the cost. He's going to pay it. It's just a matter of, does he pay it before we even
You want me to
approve
read
it?
it again, Steve?
I understand what you say, all right? I understand you've read that 40 times, but it's not the way you want the others to work. So, but
What do you mean by that, Steve, the others to
you
work?
interpret it yourself. You read it again.
Is there a part of this that you don't understand? Am I getting it
understand
wrong?
it.
The lawyer seems to agree with me. He's right there.
I'm saying, what it says is no approval of any application will be given. So your question is, what is given?
No, that's not my question.
That-
No
should be
approval
your
of any application will be
Will
given.
be given. So will it
Right,
be
so an
given?
approval of an application, if it's given, that
But-
means it got approved.
But not if it's
No
contingent.
approval of an application.
Not if it's contingent, it hasn't been given yet.
It's the same as putting the fence contingency in
Yes.
place. It's the same thing, just a different
Uh,
contingency.
Point of order. We're here on the fence on the north side of Ward Drive, being a plastic fence. Is that not correct?
Well, the application is for the special exception for the use, as part of putting together that preliminary or conceptual site plan, I should say. The only thing that's changed on it since it went before PLDRC is that the applicants changed which type of fence, which it's still zoning compliant, and we see it as an upgrade and improvement to the application. But what you're voting on is actually for the special exception for the use.
For the use. Have the fees been paid for that portion
Yes.
of this permit?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Adams? Has the fees been paid
Yes, I think they have.
Yes.
Yeah,
for this portion?
yes.
So if my understanding is correct, city attorney, we can put a contingency on this approval that any further application made, all fees incurred will be paid by the applicant.
Well, what you could do for this, we have a special exception, and you can say is that the special exception does not become effective until the applicant pays all the fees incurred by the city and related to the special exception review and approval.
Okay.
So that's when it becomes effective.
We need a motion to that effect, I think.
I make a motion that we accept the special exception, right, with the contingency that all the fees that we, city, are to collect, right, are paid prior to the exception going into effect.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second.
We have people who'd like to speak.
Okay.
Neil Bonds?
Neil Bonds, 295 Indian Creek Road. What it seems we have going on here is y'all have passed something trying to protect the taxpayer. The way it's worded says you can't really pass this because of the way that's worded. None of you are going to like what I'm saying, but that means y'all made a mistake. The way that you passed it and the way you worded it, because no businessman is ever going to come up here and say, I'm willing to pay all the money, and then once I've paid all the money for everything, then I'm going to beg you to allow me to do it. And you can say no, and now I've invested all this money into it after you've said no. If you've made a mistake like that, call yourselves a special meeting, go to work, fix that thing real quick for this man, so that it can be worded in such a way that it says, if it is approved, he agrees upon approval to pay for fees. Up to that point, he'll pay any fee as things are approved. Because to just say, hey, we're going to, here, let me go pay everything I need to do, and then put it before y'all, and y'all say, well, you know what, Steve doesn't like him today. So he put, 10 grand into this damn thing, and now he gets a no. There's no common sense there. Mr. Catagano's correct. The way it's worded says, no, you can't approve it. Go back to the drawing board, put a special meeting, get this thing done so that no one's in here wasting our time. The entire city in here wasting our time every time one of these comes up and says, well, wait a minute, we can't pass any of them. We can't pass any of them the way that's written if every single bill hasn't been paid first to the city. And they don't even know what the bills are going to be until they know whether they're allowed to use the property for that purpose.
Thank you, sir.
Great work.
Refrain from this. This is not a high school. Come on, people. We got a businessman that wants to develop something, and because this commission passed something without really thinking about what the heck we were passing.
Well, I don't think so. I think we passed that because we understand that each step of this process has certain fees. They're not all paid all up front to begin with. You pay for each particular step. And once that particular step's fees are paid, then the project's approved. I don't think that it's worded differently. That's my opinion.
But Mr. Catagano's reading that it says nothing gets approved until all the fees are paid.
That's basically what it says.
Well, I understand we passed it.
Unless that was printed wrong. I don't know.
I don't think it was printed wrong.
Well, the controller doesn't do it.
I think we need a
I don't
special
think that was the
workshop
intent.
and
Well,
reword it to
it's-
make it
it's
more
gonna be,
clear.
as the planner said, you're gonna have a chicken or egg thing. Every time they come back for the approval, the planner's charging as he's here. So the applicant will never,
Never know.
ever have all the fees paid. It's not possible.
No.
So that's not a reasonable interpretation of what the intent was. But if you say, nothing we've done becomes effective until you pay it, well, now you've accomplished both things. The city's protected, and what you've done doesn't become effective. It wasn't given to him yet. The approval wasn't given until you pay everything. We're not gonna know everything is paid for several days, weeks after this meeting.
Why is that, Scott?
Because
Why won't we
The
know?
planner's still gonna have to send the bill.
You don't know what the bill is yet.
And he's
Why
on the bill
doesn't
for
he?
being
He
there.
already reviewed the plan.
He's
He
here
wrote
right
up
now. He's here right now, billing the
Right.
city. So that bill's gotta be added to it. So this applicant's not gonna know what he's gonna charge for being here tonight until after tonight.
Neither does the city.
Neither does the city.
Can I just mention one of the things that happens, and forgive me, this sounds, because it's the comparison is to a larger municipality, but one of the ways that this is usually, the city is protected here, as you say, is that the city commission would make an approval, let's say, and then the actual building permit that a building department issued would be held up until all the fees are paid. So that way, the process can keep going, but the applicant wouldn't actually get a building permit until all the fees were recouped by the city. And that's one of the ways you can protect the city.
Thank you.
I have one more person, sir. One more person. Charlie Dean?
Charlie Dean, 157 East Halifax. I have to agree with Neil. What's written is what y'all need to follow tonight. Go back, set your hind ends down, grab right ear with right hand, left ear with left hand, jerk down real hard where you can see some daylight and rewrite this thing to where the business can come in here. But the way it is right now, the way it is, if y'all vote on it, y'all voting against your own ordinances, okay? And without redoing it, you can't do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
I think we need to rewrite it.
Well, there's no doubt about that.
So let's plan to do it. Can we not do that in the workshop?
Well, point of order, we have a motion. You want to withdraw
He
it?
can withdraw it,
No,
yeah.
I'm not withdrawing. I think we can still, I believe we still have the authority to lay these contingencies on this wording. That's what we're doing. We're still protecting the city. We're still going to get the fees. Everything we still need and what the business manager and owner needs is in what we're doing, all right? Nobody's going to get hurt with this, all right? So we do need to correct the situation, all right, with the wording in the ordinance. We can do that. But right now, I think we have the authority to pass this and move on with business. My opinion. So I'm not withdrawing.
Still got a second? Yep. Call for the vote?
Commissioner Catigano?
No.
Commissioner Hyatt?
No?
Vice Mayor Linlau?
Yes.
Mayor Gibson?
No.
Commissioner McGee?
Yes.
Motion failed. Now, we need to have this reviewed and rewritten at the earliest convenience. And we need to direct Jerome to direct the city attorney to redo this so that it actually works. Mr. Bond was correct. When we drew this up, it was to protect the citizens because for years, prior commissions, whoever wrote that, didn't pass on the cost to the developer, to anybody. Business owner, nobody. So that was the purpose of this ordinance, was to pass it on and make the applicant pay for the fees. So, to me, we've got a job to do right away. So we'll set up I'd like to have a special meeting ASAP so that this gentleman can come back and get this variance taken care of. that meet with all the commissioners' approval?
No, we need the special meeting, we need it soon.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, next.
So, well, why don't we talk about exactly how you want to address it? Because I was able to find a resolution, lien note exchanges, which says, the attached resolution, which you're saying is 2023-16, is what I'm referring to. It just listed in it as a fee for greater than 5 acres per engineer per contract amount, greater than 5 acres planner, $1,000 plus $25 per acre portion thereof. Engineer 5 acres or less per contract amount. Site planner 5 acres or less, 500 plus $25 per acre portion thereof. So what fee did he pay?
That's not what we passed.
You didn't pass 23-16?
That's not what we approved, anyway. I don't know what you got there, but
That's ordinance, that was on
it
the
said, the one that we approved said that fees will be passed through to the applicant on planning and engineering.
This, I'm just looking at the application, the fee schedule.
Look at the last line.
That's what it said on the
The
fee
second page on
schedule.
the bottom.
It
Because
says all advertising and recording costs are to be paid by the owner or applicant.
that's not the one that we passed.
So that's not the one you passed?
No.
This is 23-16.
That was the latest one, I believe. In 2309, we had a problem, you had a major problem with the verbiage, which we were correct. So.
Well, yeah, we-
I didn't write the order, I didn't even write it, I came in the middle of it unfortunately, and you made a lot of corrections, because the first person wrote the whole 911.
It had the engineering written the right way, but it didn't have the planner written the right way. And so I said, why is it still like this? And we ended up sending it back for re-evaluation, if you guys remember correctly.
Yeah, we did.
And the one that we passed had
You
the,
wrote this little blurb that I copied and pasted and redeemed the piece of paper, and that's why I put additional information in there.
So it's not 23-16?
it's not the one we passed. I don't know about the numbers that you're throwing out, Scott, but I know that's not the one that we passed.
Okay. So, because the reason I asked,
I can find it. I'm
It's-
sure I have it in my
this is
briefcase
less than
somewhere.
5 acres. This particular applicant, less than 5 acres. And so the fee was, for planner, 500 plus $25 per acre portion thereof. If he paid that, then he paid the planning fee. It's not an hourly rate. Now, I don't know if that's what y'all adopted or not, because if it's over 5 acres, then it's per contract amount, which could be hourly, unless you had something else. But his is less than 5 acres.
That's
and-
not the one we passed. I don't even know why we're having these it's not the one we passed.
Okay, what ones did you pass?
I told you I don't know. I don't know the number of it. I just remember what it said because I fought so damn hard to get it.
So you can get back to him with the number.
I can find it, but I don't have it with me.
No,
You
I
want me to
mean,
do it right in
later.
the middle of the meeting, get up and leave?
No, no.
What the hell?
No. I remember the verbiage that all fees would be paid by the applicant. I remember us discussing it and
Yep,
passing it.
we did.
I'm just looking at the November agenda, if it was after November.
I don't remember what the date was.
November 23rd.
Okay, this is November 13th. Looking at it.
Sir, that resolution was passed during the November 27th, 2023 meeting, resolution 2023-16.
Does somebody have a copy of it? Can I read it?
I have a copy of what was in the agenda. Would you like that, sir?
Yeah.
Thank you, Drew Ann.
Drop this on Josh.
You dropped something back
That
there,
was the
Drew.
resolution. Never mind.
Well, it says it was tabled for revised vote, so that's all it would be.
Yeah, they had presented it, and it still had the planners in there, and then that's why it got tabled that time, was because that wasn't corrected, so that we sent it back to get it corrected and then voted on it.
This is just
I wonder
a
if it
two-page
ever
agenda,
came
this doesn't
back.
have the substance.
I wonder if it ever came back.
No, in this crew. Good question.
All right, I'll just have to see what you adopted, because
Yes.
if you adopted something that is,
Thank you, Drew.
has a fixed amount, not based on time, but a dollar amount or based on a per acre amount, then that can be charged right at application, because we know exactly how large it is. If it is based on time, where it's over 5 acres, then we're gonna have to come up with a different methodology of collecting it, because you're gonna get into this circle where it's based on time, and they're not gonna be able to pay it all before approval, because the approval process is approved time. So what we could say is, all, you know, because if you read that application that Commissioner Kanagano kept referring to, it says anything billed to the city for review. Well, technically, the time that's here today isn't billed to the city. It's billed before, whatever's been invoiced to the city has to be paid
There you
before.
go.
And then we can say, so that should be paid, but there's still going to be a contingency to pay the last little bit from the last bill. We can do it that way.
Yes.
But I don't know what your resolution that you passed.
Like Jerome, we could, do some homework with some of the other cities and their verbiage.
Some cities don't collect it, they don't pass it on. It's not a common practice for all cities to do that. It's a good practice. It's definitely something that should be done, I agree with that,
Yeah.
but not all cities.
See how it's worded at other places. Yeah,
Okay.
we need to
There's,
fix it.
another member of the public who wishes to speak.
Okay.
Roger Page.
I just wanted to come back up here to go on record, showing and make sure that it was clear on record that tonight's commission meeting, June 10th, Section H, number 1, variance 104 at East Aerial Road was approved. Section H, number 2, special exception 104 East Aerial Road was approved and was not denied for this reason. However, Section H, number 3, special exception for 349 Ward Drive was denied because of this. So I just want to be on record that the commission tonight approved one variance, but then denied another for a reason that should have been in play for the first one. And then I also want to go on record that the city attorney gave advice and the commission decided to not follow that advice. Again, just want to be on record for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, in response to what he just said,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to go on the record to say that the first variance that we approved, it never came time for the commissioners to make a comment before we were already into it. Or I would have asked right then. This time here, the second time through, it did go that way, and so I was able to make a comment about that. And I did make it at the beginning of the meeting.
So noted.
The other thing I would point out is that application, it actually goes back, this was a continuation of an application. The initial application was, I believe, 2022, which predated y'all's resolution. So that project came before this city, before that resolution was ever adopted. And as the evidence showed, that it was, the reason for having to resubmit it, everything is not due to the delay of the applicant, it was due to the project delay and his property being used for the sewer project.
Yeah.
So
And
that he was delayed beyond, circumstances beyond his control. So it was kind of a continuation of a project that predated the original resolution.
and it's my understanding that the applicant in that case didn't receive compensation. He did it for goodwill for the city. Well, that's what I understand, so I'm just putting that on the record.
But I will get with Jerome. I just have him give me whatever y'all ultimately adopted. I don't know what you ultimately adopted. And we can come back with either, I'll have to see what our ordinance says, or regulations don't actually say too much about this, other than payment of fees in terms of when. So we could probably just go back with a quick resolution, making a quick amendment, and then hopefully get this person back on here with you by the next meeting. So maybe I can do like an emergency meeting next week or something like that.
Yeah.
To address the issue, just to clarify. But what will probably come back, and you have the right to amend it, is if it says bill to the city, that may be a way to address it. If it's not a flat fee, bill to the city, whatever's been billed to the city has to be paid before you consider it. But there could still be other things billed after the last thing invoiced to the city.
Yeah.
And the approval will be contingent on those final billings being approved.
That language, like you just said, that would imply that things that we have in our hand now.
Billed, yeah, billed.
Not something that's coming, so if the planner has a bill for tonight, he hasn't given it to us yet, so we haven't been billed for it yet. Therefore, we shouldn't be thinking about that here, so the circular thing is not really the treadmill that we've painted it to be.
Yeah, well, I don't know what you have ultimately adopted says. I gotta see what you.
No, but the language in this is what I'm, what you just said, build. And, I mean, am I wrong about that? It's what we
Well,
have in hand.
Billed would be what, but I think your resolution needs to be worded that way too.
Yeah.
So it's-
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
know how your resolution was worded.
Yeah. I have a quick question. Special meeting to adopt this revision on this.
Resolution?
Yeah. Can we hear his special exception at that special meeting?
He would have to have paid everything and have the paid things here.
Everything that was
has been
billed.
invoiced.
Something we can try to work out.
Well, that's for administration to
Yes.
figure out how they're gonna do that.
Yeah.
And the other comment, someone came up and said, you shouldn't bill somebody if you're gonna deny it. Well, I understand that, but I understand there's a flip side to that, is the city spent the money.
Yes.
Yes.
And so that there is an application fee that we have to review whatever comes in, there's a cost of applying that we have to pay advertising. And to say that the city and the taxpayers eat that if it's denied, but they don't eat if it's approved, I don't know about that.
No,
That's
that
a
makes-
policy decision for y'all, but I kind of think, application fees are paid by everybody. When it gets approved or gets denied, there's a process to go through. The city has to incur money to review it. I totally agree that if it takes more time on an outside consultant to review and comment, and a lot of exchanges going back and forth, it's just gonna cost more. That's just part of the development review process, and there is a chance your development will not be approved. That's the way it is. But ultimately, that's for y'all, but there is another side to the story other than what y'all heard.
Do you know if that language is currently on the application, what you just said, that, there could be a risk? that
Well,
you're-
but it says, I don't know if I don't think it specifically says that there may be a risk you're gonna be denied, but anybody who comes to the city seeking development probably should know, depending on what they're asking for, there could be a denial. It's not 100% guaranteed you're gonna get everything you ask for. And it also depends on what the request is. Is it legislative action or is it quasi-judicial action? Different types of review standards. So it gets into a lot of things. But I'll send back some resolutions for all of this.
Okay.
That's all I can do.
All right, special exception 445 Lazy Z Lane is up next. Have a letter from.
Before we get heavily into that, I believe this is burdened with the same issue.
Yeah, this is the one where it was.
We raised it at the beginning of the
Right.
meeting. So
It needs to be
I think
tabled.
it would be appropriate for the commission if you table, the last one you voted down. This one, do you want to table until you address this application?
Issue.
The fee, application fee issue before you get into the presentation?
Because it falls into the same thing.
Good.
So it would be a motion to table.
I'll make a motion to table it.
Second.
We got a motion and a second.
I'm assuming that this applicant did not pay, there's nothing in the documentation presented to this commission
Nothing.
showing bills paid.
No.
Right,
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I don't think it's necessary for table, unless somebody's gonna come and say he did pay.
He did pay.
Paid everything?
No, he paid the initial fee.
Application fee.
Yeah, but he didn't pay for his review
Planners.
services already. Yeah, he
Okay,
hasn't paid.
he hasn't paid for that.
He just paid the
Because he hasn't been in bill for that.
That is correct.
Refused or whatever, sorry.
Okay. Call for a vote?
Mayor Gibson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lindau,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
Yes.
Commissioner Cantigano.
Yes.
Commissioner Hyde.
Yes.
Okay, engineering, none. Sheriff's Department, none. City Administration Matters, Charter Review Document.
Oh, shit.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioner, this is being brought before you today to decide how you wish to proceed after the Charter Review Committee presented their report to the commission. It's for the commission now to decide if they wish to move ahead and make questions, valid questions, or not make valid questions, or make changes. It's really a discussion item for the commission to give direction to the city administrator how they wish to proceed.
Commissioners?
The only thing I've got in here, I mean, I don't have any problems with it, but I wasn't here when you guys did this, gone.
No, you were.
Did we not update this table? All right, we got 2012, 2016 elections in.
I would keep that in there. I wouldn't
From
change
this-
that because that's when we changed the election from 2 to 4 years.
Okay.
So that needs to stay in there.
Okay, well, I just, the next cycle, 2016,
It's every
2020.
well, it's every 4 years thereafter. What's on the
Okay,
table.
okay, that's fine, yeah, but just, didn't know if that needed to be updated or not.
I didn't see anything in the changes that we did to the charter that I think would warrant having to go on the ballot.
Sorry.
They were just minor administrative wording changes and stuff, so I didn't see anything that jumped out and said, oh, we need to have a meeting.
I didn't see.
Is that an
anything.
option to not send it to the ballot?
Yes, if it was a citizens initiative, where the citizens went out and wrote the ballot, the questions, and got signatures and presented, you would have to do it. But when this ultimately, you asked the charter review, as we talked about the first time, the charter review has given you some recommended changes. Whether or not you decide to submit that on is within your discretion. There are a few changes in here that have been recommended that have to be, if you want to do those, it has to be a charter change. And then there's some more wordsmithing and things like that. The 4.0, let's see, 4.06, subsection B, where instead of saying, this is a forfeiture of office, instead of saying has 3 consecutive unexcused absences for regularly scheduled commission meetings per term of office, they propose 3 unexcused absences per year. So that's a substantive change that I think would require referendum approval. If you go to,
I think that was one of the changes that during the review at our last commission meeting, we requested.
yeah, I think that.
Because they had it
That
for
was different
3
than what
years,
the
for
last
the
one.
4-year term, and
The,
Yeah.
if you go to section 6.01, switching from a 4/5 vote of the total membership to appoint the administrator to a majority, that obviously is a change. Is that something else you all requested, or is that from the charter review? I don't remember seeing that from the charter.
That was from us.
That was from us, yeah. Because it was 3 coming in, or 4 coming in, but 3 going out. And that didn't make sense to me, so I asked why. We had a debate about it, and then we
Okay.
decided to put it on both sides.
Well, I'll throw in my 2 cents for whatever it's worth. Every manager I've ever been around, administrator I've been around, that will not want to come in on a 3-2 vote. That's what you're talking about. You really want to have a supermajority, if not
Supermajority.
unanimous consent,
That's
to
what-
bring in someone new. That's why I was saying you had to have 4/5, because you bring someone in with a 3-2, you got 2 people who don't really support that person. And I don't know, it's up to y'all. I just don't know it's a good idea to hire an administrator on a 3-2 vote. That's just.
It was my understanding that it was going to be 4 coming in and 4 going out. Is that not what it says now?
No, it says it's
Just
gonna
a
be a majority.
Oh,
It says
yeah,
majority,
that's not what
a
I,
super majority.
I think it should be a super
Super
majority.
majority, so do I.
Yeah, I do too.
Now, the reality of terminating is, you can say 4/5 to terminate, but honestly, if you have 3 people who don't want the administrator here, it's sort of like only having 3 that want them. If you only have 3 that don't, or that, now you have 3 that don't want them, you can't get anything, it's not good for the city. So, and also the reality is, it may take 4 to fire. I've been in a city where I had a city manager tell me, it takes 4 to fire, but 3 can do a deal. So 3, I can cut a severance deal with 3, and they can't fire me. So that's the reality of it. There's 3 people combined can go in and say, cut a deal to do a severance deal with an administrator, but you don't have 4 to terminate.
So if I understand you correctly, you think that the way that it was sitting before we changed anything was correct?
Yeah, it would be my recommendation. Now, I'm not saying other people have other reasons for other suggestions. I think my recommendation, absolutely, you need at least 4 of you wanting an administrator to bring them in. But if 3 of you want to get rid of the administrator for no reason, doesn't have to be a reason. But if 3 of you do not support this administrator, it's not in the best interest of the city to have someone lingering around with 2 people who like him, 3 who don't want him there, because you can't get rid of it. It's just not in the best interest of the city. So that's just my recommendation. Y'all can do with it whatever you want.
I like that recommendation.
Section 602, 6.02, if you go down. I thought this was a zapper.
For bugs.
No, I thought one of them stages when you take somebody, was that Mr. Crowley's coming out.
Getting lucky you
This is
get
gonna be a
hit.
serious meeting. Subsection F, this is one that would require, right now, you have the discretion that you can ask the administrator to provide whatever reports you want. Whatever you want them, as a commission, y'all can do that. They are proposing that they want to require that at least quarterly, that you will be provided a report through through the financial report from the administrator. So you cannot decide, I want them every 4 months, every 6 months. That's the change. That would require a charter amendment. But you have the ability now to say we want monthly if you wanted to. And you would have it under this, but you cannot get financial reports less frequently than quarterly, whereas right now, when you get your financial reports is entirely up to you. But that would require a charter change.
Can I ask a question on that one, Scott? So, but would that preclude the administrator from giving a report anytime that he wants to?
No, he can give it whenever he wants.
We just can't request it.
No, you can request it. Right now, you can request it. You can say, look, you can say, look, we want financial reports every month, every 2 months, every 6 months.
But not if this stage.
If this goes in, he has to at least give you financial reports quarterly. But you can
ask for
demand
more often.
every month, but you just couldn't say, we just want this every 6 months. We don't need this quarterly.
Oh, you go shorter but not longer.
Exactly.
Okay, I got you.
So, yeah, you just can't say, we want it every 6 months. No, the charter says he has to give it to you quarterly.
Okay.
So that would require a charter change. I don't know about, probably the administrator / manager. For some reason, that's a sticky issue with some people. They think there's a difference between administrator and manager.
And there is.
Legally, I think of things legally there isn't. But you know, maybe if that's something that y'all want to change, it's probably better to have that in there. And some of the other stuff is just kind of, you know, wordsmithing, cleaning up some stuff. As we think about this, you have the option to, say, submit them all, submit some, not submit some changes, submit none of them, come up with your own changes. If you all want to come up with new changes, you come over here, you can do that. But if we're going to submit more than one change, then you have a question of, do you want to submit these individual questions? Because we have to prepare an ordinance that has a ballot title and a ballot summary. The ballot summary has to summarize the principal purpose of the amendment. So we would have to break these things out such that the question would be, should we call the city administrator, instead of referring to the city administrator as administrator, should he be referred to as administrator, say, / manager? Yes, in favor of the change, no, opposed to the change. Or what we could do, if you have multiple issues that you want to, like, take this whole thing and submit it, do you want to submit it just as, do you want this new charter? Instead of multiple question for each change, we could submit it, say, do you want this new charter? The bad thing with this is it's an all or nothing proposition. You know, some people may want something, but not the others, so they got to kind of think about that. You don't have so many changes here that I would say you have to. I've been in cities, well, this city, when the rewrite we initially did, there was no way to write all those questions, individual questions down. You know, each change is a question. I mean, there have been like 30 questions.
Yeah.
You know, it just wasn't possible. This one, 3 or 4, 5, 4 questions maybe at the most. You know, it would be manageable to do that. So however y'all want to do it, I think the question is, but are you legally obligated to submit all these to the voters? The answer is no. You don't have to. You can some, all, none, and you can massage them still as you see fit. But we are on a time schedule, so we need to get direction. So there's an ordinance that y'all need to adopt. So that takes 2 readings. So we need to get working on it, depending on that's the direction administrator is seeking. What do y'all, how you all want to proceed?
We have to have this to the supervisor of elections in July?
Well, Lake Helen is looking at doing another charter amendment, so I just heard, and it was a little different than what you heard, I was gonna tell you about this, but I heard August 20th is the recent update that Lake Helen received from the supervisor of elections that I thought we received like August 8th or something like that, or 9th. Much earlier. Yeah, much earlier. She recently told Lake Helen it was August 20th if you wanted on the November election.
Isn't August 20th the primary?
Yeah, but it's gonna be on the November election.
Right, I'm just saying that's the date of it.
So that would be the date she has to have it by. So it gives you a little more room. You know, we can still shoot for having it all done in July. It's obviously doable.
Okay.
Sorry.
I don't think there's anything overly complicated here that we've.
No, it's an ordinance, 2 readings. You know, I can have an ordinance to y'all for next meeting to look at, and y'all don't even have to adopt it. You just read it, wordsmith it, then we'll bring it for first meeting in July, second reading. You can still change it after first reading, and then second meeting we'll adopt it, we're good. But we just need to know, do you want to adopt all the changes? Do you want to propose all the
I
changes?
think she's gonna go do it for me
And if
now,
yes, do you want me to write them in separate
if you don't
questions?
mind waiting.
Or do you want to propose all the changes as just, here's a new charter, vote yes or no on the whole thing? Or are there some things you don't think are necessary to submit to the voters? That's all, that's within y'all's discretion.
If all we have is 5 questions, that's my feeling. That way people will be able to vote on what changes were made.
Exactly.
If you put the whole thing in there, I fear most people won't read it.
Or they'll accuse you of sneaking something in.
Scott, I have a kind of an off-the-wall question. And this
Really?
is
Yeah,
just
can imagine.
to my ignorance as a
Right.
in government, right? Is it each question, so the majority would either approve it or not, and then it would either make it in or not?
Yes.
One at a time, right down the list. I got you, I see. Wasn't sure about
I mean,
that.
I've had some where, you know, some things passed, some things didn't
Some didn't.
pass. And I actually like to see that because it tells me the electorate thought, as opposed to saying, I'm just saying no. If everything's no, you're like, I wonder if they read them, or everything is yes. But when you see them passing some and no, and yes on some and no on some, that tells me they put some thought into it.
Right.
But we'll be able to say, all right, there's a number of changes in here that we're changing the terminology for Jerome in here to administrator, manager.
Right.
So we can make that as one,
That will be one
question.
I'll just go through it really quick.
Change
for you.
referral, change the title.
I think the change in paragraph 401E
Thank
is
you.
its own question. I think that's gonna be its own question. Administrator manager, its own question. Honestly, you want my 404A, take that out. I mean, the question is, it says the compensation of mayor or commission, and they wanna change it to and/or. Really? That, I don't think adds anything. 404A, my recommendation is, that's a change not worth asking a question about. So, the 406B will be its own question, which deals with the term, how many unexcused absences you have. So what are we up to, 3? 3, okay.
The super majority on 601.
Sounds like rain.
It's gonna rain,
Oh, no,
oh,
that's
yeah.
their suitcase, I think.
It's currently 601, so I don't think there's any changes necessary. 601 is currently a supermajority to hire. So I don't think there's any change necessary to 601, 6.01, other than the administrative manager slash, which is already a question. Those are the same questions in 6.02, except F will be its own question about minimum required financial reports.
Yep.
You know, there's a strike through on O. I'm not really sure why. Yeah, that's it. Other than O, where it says they want to strike out, the commission may appoint a commission member with technical experience in certain department or agencies to provide technical assistance to the city administrator, but they shall have no administrative duties. This shall not restrict other commission members from discussing any city matter with the city administrator. Why do we want that out? Is anybody from the charter review here?
Ricky.
Vicky, you're from the charter review, right?
Anybody from the charter review?
Carrie, too.
Oh, no, sir.
Drew Ann.
Drew Ann, yeah.
What was the thinking of 6.01F? I'm sorry, 6.010?
Oh, the removal of, in the previous charters, commissioners were given departments to be in charge of, and that letter O, as we understood it, applied to that departmental issue where commissioners were given departments to work on. And so it sort of gave the approval for them to do that. Does that make sense? And since the commission in October or November took that out by
Yeah, we voted
resolution so
against
that
it.
there are no
Right.
more departments,
Exactly.
then reading letter O made no sense to leave in because now you don't have the departmental managers, so why would you leave that in? And so that was the thinking process in taking that out. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
I don't know if I agree, but I don't know, I understand we took out the department part, it can come out because y'all could do it anyway, I just read that to say, hey, look, if Jerome was dealing something with Fish and Game regarding management in the river, and y'all said, hey, you need to talk to Commissioner Catagano, he's a professional guy, he can help work with Commissioner Catagano on it, that's what this seems to say to me. You could do it anyway, because it wasn't in
I was
there.
gonna say,
But
that shouldn't be a problem.
it's not a problem to do it anyway. I don't know if we need to have a separate
But you
question
would.
saying, should we strike that out? I'm trying to think,
Minimize the questions.
so but I mean, if y'all want to strike it out, I can come up with a question to strike it out. I guess.
Or we can put it back in, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's up to them.
permission at this point, whether we.
Yeah, I just never interpreted that to mean departments.
Yeah.
I never really interpreted that. I just thought if we had somebody who had, on this commission that had expertise, they could say, if it was fire, if you were firemen, right? So if there's a fire issue, department issue, they could say, look, work with you on it. That's not creating departments in my mind. I never interpreted it that way.
Right.
So,
Oh, I understand.
No, and he can designate anything he wants to whomever,
well,
right?
y'all do.
Right.
We do.
You do, not them.
But we like him.
Yeah.
I see no reason to strike it.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, I'm sorry, just for my own clarity, I just want to know what we're deciding on this, because I have to type it.
On this particular one?
Yes, are we leaving it in or taking it out at the will of the commission?
I think we're leaving it in.
I say leave it.
Leave it in.
Leave it in?
And the idea is that the intent, we don't interpret it
To say
to create departments.
To mean the departments that we were
Go to an
thinking.
expert.
We were thinking the old department
Right.
thing, and so, yeah, I understand it, I'll make that note,
Yeah,
thank
no,
you.
we
Thank
did
you,
away
Brad.
with- We did away with that form of government, so that,
Yeah.
yeah, doesn't apply.
Thank you.
I think that, let's see. And, oh, there's this one that says, remove, the city commission may remove the administrative manager at any time by majority vote with or without cause. If you don't say it takes a supermajority, everything is by majority vote.
Yes.
And it's usually gonna be contracted by, covered by your contract with the administrator anyway.
I would think supermajority.
To terminate?
Yes.
Okay. I'd say
You-
I'm sorry. I was gonna say, you know, like I said, I don't think you wanna have, and I'm speaking in general, you
In
do not wanna
general.
have an administrator who 3 of you want to terminate, but 2 of you don't, and you have that administrator here.
So-
That's the concern I would have.
So in essence, you feel it's best that it just be majority?
Yes. On termination.
On
Hiring,
Hiring
yeah,
super.
but supermajority, I think everybody needs to be pretty much unanimous on hiring somebody. I think that's a great idea. You might have one outlier or whatever, but, you know, if you have 2 people who don't support the administrator, that's not a good thing. And you may have, and it wouldn't surprise me at all, if you had an applicant say, look, I'm not taking the job, but,
Yeah.
so you can offer it to me, but I'm not doing it. But when you go to, just to think about it, if 3 of you did not support Jerome, and you want to get rid of him, 2 of you supported him, how would y'all function?
Yeah.
Not well.
That would be my concern. You know,
Not
you got
well.
3 of you
Yeah.
who are, you know, butting heads with Jerome. I've seen all of this, and I just tell you what I've tell you from my experience, the best way to deal with it. 4 of y'all need to hire somebody, but 3 of y'all need to be able to let somebody go.
Sounds good to me.
And I think we can take out, and that's what this says, is by a majority vote, but I think you don't have to make that as a question, because say, if I were to write the question, say, should the city administrator be terminated by a majority vote of the commission? Yes in favor, no opposed. Say they said no, opposed, and we strike that out. Guess what? It's still a majority vote. So that doesn't.
It's kind of mute.
It's kind of mute. So
Okay.
it's going to be my majority vote. It's going to be terminated with or without cause. And unless we
Yeah.
say it has to be supermajority, it is always, the commission acts by majority.
Yeah.
And
Unless we say-
Okay.
that's how it was in the charter before we, you know,
Yeah.
the 2014 charter, so there's nothing to even,
Right.
if we just leave it the way it is, then we didn't do anything.
Right, so you have, you can terminate by majority vote, with or without cause,
Gotcha.
but you have to hire before this.
That makes sense now that you said it that way. I didn't think about that before, you know, but I do agree with you on that, yeah.
Just my suggestion, not a vote. But those would be, what is that, about 4 questions?
4.
4 questions. I can put those together, have those back to you for next meeting.
Okay.
And you don't even have to take action then, you can just wordsmith it and massage it.
Yeah.
Just so you know, the way it works is the title, the ballot title, 15 words. Usually not hard to comply with. Ballot summary, 75 words. You say, oh, that's a lot of words. No, it's not. Not when you're trying to explain the purpose of a change. You start eliminating the does and the A's and all these things. They add up quick, and but those are the limitations we have.
All 4 changes have to have some kind of explanation?
Yep.
Okay, I see,
Yeah.
yeah.
But this should not be hard. I've had some that are hard. I mean, real hard, when you try to do those things, and it's tough to get the intent of the amendment within 75 words.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes tough. But this won't be bad. This should be bad, should not be an issue. But I will tell you, I've been asked by Lake Helen to go to their planning board meeting this month, which is also when you have your next meeting scheduled. So I'll probably be at Lake Helen since they've asked me to attend there. You'll have these documents, you can review them, I can get with your own, we can wordsmith them, and all that type of stuff.
Okay.
But I will get you the resolution this week. And so I'll get that to Jerome this week, start working on it, so y'all can meet ASAP to address it, because you have some unhappy people.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's get this squared away so we can all
Yes.
deal with that.
Okay.
So when you send us the charter changes, be good for us to send you a written response.
No, just, why don't you just talk at the next meeting, the five of y'all can talk, and then Jerome can send to me any changes you wanted to make, and stuff like that. And I'll go over it with Jerome, and I'll incorporate any changes Jerome wants to make before it comes to you. And so, you all have that, and for the second meeting of June, and then I'll get your comments back, and we'll do first reading the first meeting of July. And second reading, the second meeting of July, and that gives us plenty of time to get it to the supervisor. And if something comes up, if somebody has a comment or whatever, we have another meeting. We can do another second reading if we need to wordsmith.
Okay, all
So
right.
we got a built-in cushion. Yep.
Okay. All right. Review of outstanding issues for septic to sewer project. Mr. Adams?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. There've been identified several issues with the work that the contractor has done. Problems with roads, problems with driveways not being put back the way they should have been, problems with swales not being put back the way they should have been. Like Ms. Taylor said, I've been talking to her, I've been talking to the people she's been in touch with, talking with the contractor, not really getting anywhere. I've reached out to Mead and Hunt and Metro and asked them if they could be at the meeting today. Unfortunately, Metro didn't say if they would be here or not. Mead and Hunt, Brad is actually sick, so he wasn't able to be here. I've asked our public works supervisor to just go around, take some pictures so I can send to them and show them what the issues exactly are, which he has done and I've sent to them. Not really gotten any positive feedback as far as what the plan is to resolve the issue. Just wanted to bring it to the commission's attention. I'm inclined to withhold their last payment until there is some, positive solution as far as what their plans are to resolve the issues for the residents.
Does their contract give a timeline?
As far as,
Answering.
And liquidated damage.
Yes.
We can look at the state. Is there a performance bond? We can look at that. Let's pull that up. So, absolutely under no set of circumstances do you pay the contractor.
No.
So, change to, I'm inclined not to, just,
Yes. No.
absolutely no, you don't pay the contractor. If you can give me the contract, look at there typically is a completion date with liquidated damages if they don't complete by the date, and then we probably ought to notify the bonding company. And we probably need to coordinate with Brad, our engineer, on all of this. And it may be good, just to, it really doesn't escalate it to another level, but it's a perceived escalation. If I write a letter,
Please?
yeah, so they all said, oh, they got an attorney involved, and, it's a perception issue. but maybe it would be good for me to write a letter saying, these are all the issues we have, this is your contract date. I copy Brad, I copy the performance bond, and let everybody know, these are the issues we have.
I'd like that.
Yeah. That's probably the best thing.
Would you like to speak?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question. This is for the attorney. Will it be possible, if they do nothing, to sue them under the Florida statutes?
I saw your email, and I think I saw it because Jerome sent me, he got an email from the Attorney General, I think he just forwarded it to me. My first question is, it cannot be a violation of the law to alter stormwater drainage.
It says it right in the statute.
But it has to be, I mean, that means we can never change, no jurisdiction could ever do a stormwater project. They do them all the time.
Right, but there has to be some kind of study and stuff like that done, right?
Well, I think that is intended for someone who goes out and blocks a stormwater system to flood their neighbor or something like that. But when you have an engineering firm, design plans, and contractors going through the formal process, I don't think that statute's gonna be applicable. I'll look at it, but just being honest with you, it just realistically can't be that there's an absolute prohibition that you can never touch a stormwater system once it's built.
I understand
You have
that.
to be able to do it.
Right, I understand there have to be drainage changes in certain
Yeah,
places and
so-
stuff. But when they do it without permission from whoever, okay, like this was done, because it doesn't even, they didn't change it on any of the plans.
Well, there's a lot to be looked at there in terms of that. I don't know what the plans say in terms of what the stormwater drainage will be changed. I think the better thing, the most important thing to do is to get the work done.
Yes.
And so, one, we hold back the money. We contact the bonding company, we contact the contractor, and we gotta work with our engineer. Because the last thing we want is our engineer saying, well, no, they fully comply. Well, if our engineer says that,
We're up the creek.
yeah, our case has got torpedoed. So.
Now,
we
is
gotta
that the
make sure-
city engineer you're speaking about, or?
Right, Mead and Hunt. They were the engineers of record on that.
Well, Mead and Hunt,
Well,
they're not gonna say that. Richard Schwartz signed off on it and said everything was done in our neighborhood. But he, again, is a chronic liar. And I have called Mead and Hunt and told them that myself.
Well, there's a lot to be looked in there, into that. I can just tell you, getting sideways with Mead and Hunt will not help the process. I can just be honest with you, it's not gonna help the process. The goal is to get all the improvements done without any cost to the city.
Yep.
Right, I don't want,
That's ultimately the
the
goal.
city's already paid.
We paid a lot, so we're gonna
You
hold
know.
back the money we have to help protect us, and we need to contact the performance bond. That's why the performance bond's there, to make sure the contractor performs.
Okay.
So we gotta make sure that's, put them on notice, and, we'll work with Mead and Hunt about what these issues are. Now, if Mead and Hunt says, no, that really is in compliance, this is why, I really foresee a meeting, a workshop, or something where we're able to address everybody's concerns with the engineer here, every single one. Say, I have this concern, that's not per the plans. If Mead and Hunt disagrees, they need to be able to explain to y'all. No, it is per the plans, this is what the plans say. So we just need to be able to go through that, but hopefully there's not a whole bunch of situations where Mead and Hunt disagrees with the property owners on whether or not something was or was not in compliance with the construction plans. But that's down the road. We need to get everybody on notice that we think they're in breach of the contract, and that's step
Okay.
one. And we are going to need Mead and Hunt's help to pursue our claim. So that's the goal. That's my advice on how we proceed with this.
And so you will write a letter then?
Yeah, now we need to identify all the items. I don't know if we have them all yet, but obviously we're gathering them, pictures, all this stuff, and we need to put everybody on notice.
Yeah.
As a hypothetical, if they refuse to do the work, can we use the money that we've withheld from them to do that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, what's their choice? To sue us? Go for it.
And also the bond, performance bond.
Performance, usually, with, like the last performance bond I read, what it says is, we have to agree to pay the bonding company the balance of what's owed, and then they will come out and finish the job. So we're not gonna come out ahead on this deal. We
No.
can't keep the money and the bonding company do the work.
No, I wasn't
So,
suggesting we do
but-
keep the money, I just wanna know if we could use
Yeah.
that money to make the.
We can,
If
but
we need to.
we need to hold it right now, because if the bonding company steps in, the bonding company's gonna, most likely will say, you need to pay us the balance when we do this work, you pay us the balance, and then that offsets their cost, and then they go back against the contractor.
Yeah, that's fine, I don't have a problem with that.
As long as
I
we're
just
getting
wanna
the work
say
done
if
and
it-
it's not costing us anymore.
Yeah.
Right, that's the goal, just to get it done for what we contractually agreed to.
Can I give you some information on that, Scott?
Hmm? Not right now.
No, okay, you were talking about the driveways and different things.
No,
like
that, this is not the time or place for that. That's a one-on-one meeting with me, you, maybe Brad, where we just start outlining all this stuff. We'll be here a long time if we start doing that.
We have public input for this.
Okay.
Carrie Warning.
Well, I think you've already answered my question. I do have one.
I've answered your questions but one.
It's a simple one. I know that you're going to, on the reimbursement part, it's gonna be brought back up again.
We'll probably do that resolution when we do that emergency
Right.
resolution.
When you do that resolution, will the city be sending a letter out to all of the residents informing them in writing that the process is now from 21 to 35? Because I've had several owners say that they felt that that was a necessity, that we have something in writing, that we're increasing it. And it shouldn't be a big thing. We sent letters out to everybody before, so it shouldn't be a big issue to just send everyone a letter that says, hey, we got more money and we're gonna give you more money, up to a maximum. So,
I think with the hundred,
greetings for a change.
Carrie,
Yes.
I think with the 148 that have been reimbursed, they can be simply called on the telephone.
Well, I'm
And
saying
say,
in
"Come
general
on,
for
come on
everybody
in."
across the board, to
And-
know that you are now upped it from 21 to 35.
Well, the ones that are called, could just get a call from city staff, that's my opinion. And those that haven't should get a letter, that there's an upgrade. And-
Okay, so
and-
you're gonna
and-
send a
and-
letter to the people
And
that
Carrie,
not go
and
through?
Carrie, when people call you,
Mhm.
please tell them to call City Hall. You're not an employee.
Well, except they won't do it.
Why won't they
That's
do
all.
it? Is it because they're told the city's gonna lie to them? Because
No.
that's what I've heard.
Well, I don't know what you're hearing, but that's not the case.
Okay.
A
I
lot of
didn't- I-
people don't feel comfortable calling the city, and they just call people around. And they have different reasons for different things, why they do it. All I'm just simply asking is, will you send a letter out just notifying people that this allotment has been increased up to a maximum of 3,500? It's not a big deal.
I don't understand the point of doing that.
Well, I think if somebody comes in because they got a letter saying it's 2,100, and oh, by the way, you're gonna get 35,
That's gonna be.
I don't think anybody's gonna say, why didn't you send me a letter?
If the check shows up in the mail,
It's
you're
just
gonna be
courtesy
happy.
to turn around and let people know things instead of.
Yes, Tasha?
I've been here since December, and I'm not like the other people that worked here. So they can call up and ask me any questions. I don't lie.
Oh, I know.
And if I don't have a
Tasha, I'm not
question,
saying
I
you do.
know, I
No,
know.
I'm not saying
But
that.
that is a huge thing to do, to create a letter. I gotta go get all of the addresses again and everything to send out.
It's very tight.
And everybody that's picked up a letter, I've told them, they will be more money coming. I don't know how much that will be, but you will get more, there's more money coming, it's just gotta go in front of the commission board.
Plus, not only for time, we have to also pay extra postage.
Yes, post, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
but
waste of money.
Okay.
if you're getting it, you're going to be getting the money anyway.
Exactly.
You're applying for it, you're gonna get it.
Yeah.
You're gonna know it.
Okay. Under old business, Mr. Peterson. Connection for the sewer.
Yes, I'd like to defer until two other people approach your thing, if that's all right.
How you say you're giving
No,
your
I
time?
have two other people in the audience that are, come to this meeting to say in behalf of me. I'd like for them to say what they want to say before I present my side, if that's all right.
So this is about Mr. Peterson's and his issue with his hookup. Yeah, just have people come and speak and give you their take on what's going on. Ricky Taylor?
Ricky Taylor, 183 East Ariel. I was just checking to see if Mr. Peters' house, is he going to be getting a pit put in at his location? Getting it moved? Because they put a pit in the wrong place. Originally, he's been coming in here and he's been asking for the pit to be moved by Metro, because when originally the pit was put, not where he requested or asked if it could be placed. There were several locations throughout Indian Harbor where the pits were changed and moved, where other residents needed it. And so, I don't know if the commission has talked about that yet. It's been brought
Well,
up
he was
several
told
times.
from the very beginning that they would move it for him. That was by Metro, right?
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you,
Yeah.
thank you. So is that gonna get done?
Somebody needs to do it, and I think probably Mead and Hunt and Metro ought to get together and do it for him.
Okay. That's all for this moment.
Thank you, sir.
Charlie Dean?
Charlie Dean, 157 East Halifax. I've been following this fiasco up in Indian Harbor for the last 2 years. And I remembered Mr. Peterson, he brought this up several months ago. Okay, has anybody on the commission went out and looked at what he has?
Yeah, I think we all have.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, and if I read some of it, I didn't read the whole contract. But I thought I read where there would be a pot for every 2 lots. Okay? Now, if there are a pot for every 2 lots, Mr. Peterson has 2 lots. Okay? He don't have a pot for his 2 lots. He's tied into another one, or will be tied into another one, which also cannot handle, or not supposed to handle, 3 homes. 2's already hooked up to it. The other one, his other lot, if he put a Y in it, it's going against what's there. So, it's something that needs to be addressed, just like Commissioner Hyatt said. He was told at the beginning of this thing that he
From
would
the
get a
get-go.
pot.
Right.
Okay? Now, either y'all need to hold Mead and Hunt and Metro's feet to the fire with all this other stuff and make them do it. Or I think the commission needs to step up and say, hey, we need to go put that pot in. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
Mr. Peterson?
John Peterson, 129 Randall, and I thank these two for bringing that to your attention. I've just got a couple quick questions, and it will probably answer a lot of things that they were also talking about. First of all, I'm not here to talk about the run distance that this thing right here indicates. I could really care less about the distance that other people are there, but that's not what I'm here for tonight. What I am here to ask is why I'm being singled out by the city of Oak Hill, and I'm asking to be afforded the same considerations as the rest of the citizens of Indian Harbor Estates. Mr. Dean, Mr. Taylor, and Mr. Farron, my neighbor down the street, who does have a double lot also, but his house in the center, was also given the same courtesy from the supervisor, Luis, who is with him, yes, I think, after their request to relocate their vats. There was no change orders that I can find that any of that was approved. My neighbor, which is behind me across my canal, is Dave Freeman, lives on Gary Street. Very good neighbor, have a great relationship with him. In the beginning of this project, he was the third on the bat, and he had approximately about 160 or plus feet because his septic was in the backyard. He is on the corner lot also, same as I am. And they took him off of that, and I think Mr. Limau was probably part of the conversation of getting that done for him, or bringing to your attention to have it done. We were told at that time period, inquiring how many can be on a vat, and we were told by Mead Hunt that the system's only designed to carry 2 households. So they took him off, which was the right thing to do, but they gave him a complete vat system about 30 feet away from his backyard sewage tank, which is basically on the easement, which is in the same easement that I am. He's south of me and I'm north. Lewis, the supervisor, I'll call him for MES, started at the start of the project when they were laying these things, these vats where they were supposed to be supposedly going, and I approached him in my front yard. And he informed me that my corner home, I have 2 lots, basically, let's call it 3 lots, but it's one partial, because I combined it when I bought the empty lot next to me. I sold my neighbor 25 feet of it, so I've got about 275 feet, okay? So about 3 lots, 2.5 lots at least. I built a shop on that lot, and the lot can be subdivided to be sold, or it can be subdivided and built upon, which I brought to your attention. I have 2 boys that I'm trying to leave a heritage to, and I would like for them to be able to live next door to each other, or I may need to capitalize on selling that lot to live out my life. So it is a lot that needs a vat also. But Mr. Lewis told me, you're gonna have a vat over on the corner, which is in line with Mr. Freeman's vat, by my mailboxes, which would be the northwest side of my property. On the far east side of my property, to my next neighbor, at that distance, is where the vat was put. Because I agreed, because of what I was told by a supervisor at the time, that that vat would be put in, I had no reason to question. He said, Mr. Peterson, your house can go there, and this vat over here on the side of the property will supply your neighbor and your shop if you develop this property. I had no reason to question him. He didn't go to anything in the books, he just said it. So I took it for word value, and I presented that numerous times to you guys, and it just goes over the heads. Nobody says he's responsible for his statement. In fact, Brad Blaze told me he didn't have the authority to make that statement to me at one point. At the time that it got finished, the project was done, trenches were dug, everything was covered up. I brought it to Linda Hyatt attention. She came out to my property 2 times in regards to this product, and she then referred me to Con. Con at the time called me, said it was going to be a part of a meeting, and I needed to contact Brad Blaze and Richard Suarez, which I did, and I had no results whatsoever for my problem working with these 2. I then took it to Joe Conagano and asked him if there was anything he could do. He took and sent quite a few emails with my help and his to send some emails out, and this has been almost 2 years now. I had a meeting about 2 months ago roughly, and at the meeting I had Mr. Adams, who's been to my house twice in regards to the same situation to discuss the problem. I had Mr. Blaze, I had Mr. Bell, I had Mr. Schwartz, I had a guy named Tanner, who was the second guy to Mr. Blaze. He was an engineer from Mead & Hunt. I also had Ricky and Carrie show up at their own showing. And at that meeting, I was verbally told I would have both sides of the east VAT between me and my neighbor. I would have both sides. The problem is, the VAT is on the property line, the laterals are on each property only. I can't access my neighbor, so you gotta lift it and move it for me to connect to it. That's not gonna happen. The second thing was my neighbor has already connected, which was given a permit about a week ago. And he is connected to that VAT. So there's one lateral on my property line for my house to go, which is about 140 feet to get to it. That's irrelevant. My problem is what they've decided to give to solve my problem is a Y on my main line that comes in to supply my property. I'll call it my garage property, which can be subdivided, to connect to it. You know, you just took Mr. Freeman off of not being 3 on, and you're telling me I can be 3 on. He can have a VAT, and I can't have a VAT, but I was told in the very beginning I would be getting a VAT in that corner. Okay, my question is, I think some of this has already been asked also. This is for Mr. Gibson, Mr. Lindlau, Mr. Gee. Have you been to my property and actually viewed the zero line of the problem of what I'm describing?
I've been by it, I haven't been
Okay,
on it.
there's a good answer. You've been by it.
Yes.
But you haven't been there like Mr. Conago, Jerome, or Linda has been. Have you ever read any of the emails? And this represents the emails that I have right here that are on public file. Have you ever read any of these?
I don't remember seeing any of them.
Okay. Jerome, have you ever read the ones that you asked for?
Yes.
Good. Mr. Gibson, have you ever read them? What
Got
do you
'em.
think? Got them? Okay. Have you read them?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
You
good.
want me to read one?
No, I
Oh,
don't
let
think you
me-
need to read
let me
anything for
read
me.
one
I've read
real
them
quick,
numerous times,
Mr.
but I would like to
Peterson.
give to you something
This
that
one
may
is
help
from
out.
Scott Simpson
Well, let me
on
stop you
June,
there.
June the 13th,
I have-
2023.
Those are 2 emails that are very.
Said it's not feasible or justifiable to provide individual pits for each homeowner just because some have a longer service lateral distance
That's not the issue,
than
Mr.
others.
Mayor. The issue is you're trying to put 2 properties as a third on one VAT, because the original VAT in the northeast corner on the curve was not put in, which in the very beginning of the project, had I not been given that insight that that was going to happen, I would be saying the VAT you put in between me and my east neighbor needs to be 50 feet over in the dividing line of my 2 pieces of property, not to the east. So if my property was subdivided, I could access that from my house and my property that my shop is on. They can be developed or converted to a home. And then my neighbor would go to the VAT to the east of him, which was another possibility, until you guys got a $7,000 bill estimate to fix that pot that we all thought was outrageous at best. It was 2 guys in a shovel to put a lateral in, and now the gentleman has already connected to my VAT or to his lateral on that side. So are you gonna tell him to dig it up and move it? To give me what you verbally, I felt at that meeting was given to me, that I would have both sides. But the issue came back that I can't connect to the lateral because it's on his property. I can't transverse his property to connect to that VAT. So are you gonna move the vat, which is 2 holes dug, or is it cheaper to put a vat in, which was the original plan that I was informed would be done? Otherwise, I would have said, as I said before, you're not putting that vat over there, you're gonna put it in the middle of my property, as you've done with Mr. Farron down the street, who is a house on a double lot in the center. And his same problem was, if I subdivide my property, tear my house down, and sell these 2 lots, and in this market, build 2 homes to capitalize on my property, that vat over there is not where it needs to be. You need to put it in the middle. Therefore, it was done. And are there any change orders? I haven't found them, but I'd like for you to find that. In regards to what I gave Mr. to Jerome there, if you read those or would read those, there are underlying items there that really pretty much states just about everything we're talking about. So my last question to all of you is this. Why am I being denied by the city of Oak Hill the vat I was told would be installed at the beginning of the project by a reliable source that will solve the problem for all of us? You wouldn't even know my name. You would never have seen my face had that been done. And this has been 2 years of crap, of no answers, and me being sent down rabbit holes, chasing an answer to be told that guy didn't have the authority to tell you that. This was done for Dave Freeman. Like I say, I'm not here to throw him under the bus. I'm saying what's good for others. I'm asking because I was intentionally told it was going to happen for me in the beginning before they even stuck a shovel in the ground. Thank you very much.
Were you given a solution?
The solution I was given was at the meeting with Jerome and the others that we just talked about was to put a Y in it, which makes a 3rd connection on the back. And in those emails that I just gave Jerome, it states in there, Mead and Hunt says can't be 3. I think Mark Bell has also made that statement too. Can't be 3 on the back. But that's what you did for Mr. Freeman, took him off the 3rd, gave him a pot, and now you would think it's okay for me to have a Y as a 3rd instead of putting a pot in. Had the pot been put in, we wouldn't even, again, you wouldn't even know me.
Well, Mr. Adams, where was that solution presented to you? Who gave you that, to put a Y in?
I spoke to Mead and Hunt, and they said that
Tanner said that.
Yeah.
The other engineer, Tanner, I think was.
And I consulted with Brad just to make sure that that was actually true, that it could be, and they said, yes, it is able to support 3 connections.
Well, in the very beginning, we have numerous times in all of these emails been told it can't support 3 on the back. Why can't you put one into the vat if you're putting it into the line Y? And if I sold that property or developed that property or sold that property, is that going to be good enough for that property owner, whomever that is, to not have a problem because now it's a Y on the vat that is not big enough to handle 3?
According to Mead and Hunt.
According to Mead and Hunt, they told us it couldn't be done. According to Mead and Hunt to you, you say they say it can be done. So what the hell's the answer? There's just a lot of misinformation for 2 years that I've been jerked around and not getting anything done. I can't even hook up. I can't even sell my property, subdivide my property. I can't improve my property. If I wanted to put a bathroom into my shop, I can't do any of these things until I get an answer. And folks, we got what, 5 months to play this game? More?
It's not a game.
Well, it is a game to me because Mead and Hunt, or whatever y'all are holding this money back on, how long is it going to get you to get answers and action? Because if it runs after the hookup date, am I going to be penalized for my reimbursement because of y'all dragging your feet or somebody not getting it done or an answer not being given? Because I haven't gotten an answer yet from anything.
I've got a question for you. Let's say you hooked in now.
Which one, my house and or my shop?
Both.
Okay. my garage.
You hook in now.
I can't,
And, oh, why can't you?
because the pot has my neighbor on it, that's one connection.
Okay.
If I hook the house into it, that's fine, that's the two connection. The Y makes the third for my house and my shop and my neighbor. My neighbor's already connected,
Okay,
okay? The Y doesn't solve my problem with what I'm disputing. Mead and Hunt changes their answers due to their situation. You can or you can't. But in the beginning it was you can't, and now it is you can. We can do that for you. But what I'm wondering is they're gonna devalue a problem for me, for the value of my property, or if I wanted to develop my property for myself. Maybe I wanna convert that over there, re-subdivide it, live there, and give the house side to my kids.
when this thing first cropped up, Mr. Peterson, I talked to the utilities, Volusia Utilities Department. And they said that all of the planning, grant money, and everything was retrofit to existing septic tanks.
Mm-hmm.
You made the comment in an open meeting, if I'm correct, that you had the idea that you would subdivide that property and your son could build a house, if I'm
Somebody, yes,
correct.
exactly,
Yeah.
yes.
And the director of the Volusia Utilities Department said, there's no house there.
There was a house there and there was a septic tank there. Now, here's the situation and what you're leading to. The 25 feet that I sold to my neighbor.
Right.
To my east.
Yeah.
What we have determined, which I came down and talked to Dennis before I bought that property because there was nothing on it. We were trying to find the septic tank because I was going to subdivide that 25 off so that I wouldn't have a neighbor. And I gave him advice. And I said, if you don't want the 25, I'm putting the 50 up for sale. You're gonna have a neighbor and I'm still gonna have a garage on 25 feet. And I knew what the answer was gonna be because I knew he was going to develop at some point for retirement. Win-win situation. We were both ecstatic, sweetheart deal I gave him, and we all walked away smiling. The property line that segregates where I sold him apparently is the septic tank on the line. Part of it's on my property, part of it's on his property. I brought it to Mr. Adams' attention at that meeting with that situation. Who gets the credit on that property? I didn't move it. It's just what the line fell in play. Do I get half credit? Because there is a retrofit there, in my opinion, but he also has a retrofit for that section too. But his septic tank is right over on the other side because it's a short lot, a narrow lot at that point. So again.
And he's hooked in?
He's hooked in. He got it and was signed on and hooked in about a week ago. In fact, I came down the morning that they were taking the memo.
How did he do that?
Came down and talked to Dennis, I guess. Dennis didn't get the memo.
Because the septic tank that is now half on his property wasn't condemned, right? I mean, this is a difficult thing.
The septic tank on his property for his house was condemned.
So
again, a situation that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Who gets the credit? Who has to demolish half or both? I don't care, I'll pay for it. But it's not on my property. Again, a situation.
Yeah.
And who gets the credit? Because there was a septic tank on the full property at the time that property had a building on it. You guys can figure that one out, but I feel I should get not only a credit if I destroy it. Does he get a portion of the extra grant money also? Because now it's 2 septic tanks, and I got 2 septic tanks to deal with. How do we deal with this?
Yeah.
Somebody throw me a bone, because I don't have an answer, and you guys haven't given me any
Well,
encouragement of
you know,
answers.
if you and that neighbor make an agreement that you're gonna have that demolished, condemned, okay?
Yeah.
And get the permit to do it.
Yeah.
That the credit, I would think, would go to you, because you're paying to have it done.
Okay, so
You
what's
fought-
the
you
credit
fought-
at that point?
Yes.
Is it another $3,500 credit?
No,
What's the credit then?
Whatever the cost is,
To,
I would say,
okay, so I could add that to my hookup,
up to $3,500 is gonna be the max,
the fee, okay?
Yeah, the
to
whole-
me.
The whole thing is the
That's what I'm asking. But
Yeah.
who gets the credit?
And
He's gotta
I
have,
gotta-
I'm gonna have.
and I
You
gotta-
do it, if you do the payment, you do it,
You would.
you would get the
I
credit.
get credit, okay?
Same thing.
I'll bring that to his attention because I can't speak for him. I'm sorry?
You're the one holding the receipt if you pay for it, you're the one
Well, that's
writing the
true,
receipt.
but I'm on his property trying to break something down. If he says he doesn't wanna do it that way, then what do you want me to do? Cut it in half?
Did you abandon the septic tank on your home lot already?
I haven't connected
He
yet.
hasn't
Oh, you haven't
connected.
connected yet?
I can't connect because I don't have an answer. I might end up with a pot that's 30 feet away like Mr. Dave Freeman is. And I'm not gonna connect at 140 and then you guys say, we'll put a pot in for you. You gonna dig that back up or give me the credit of 30 times 140 feet? No. So why would I connect? That's why I say I got 5 months to deal with this. We gotta come to a conclusion.
I have an
What's-
intuitive solution.
Good. Throw it out if you may.
Can
This
we,
would require the commission to say, are you gambling because you say a Y is fine, because Mead and Hunt says it's fine, are you willing to put your money on it?
well, that's what
If he
I'm,
gets a hookup with the Y that Mead and Hunt says, fine, it'll do 3 pop, it'll do 3 houses on 1 pop. You gamble and say, okay, do it that way. If it fails, and a pot's needed to put in because Mead and Hunt's wrong, then the commission says, well, we made a mistake, and now
Pay a
we're
lot
going
more.
up for a pot, because it doesn't work. Because you're messing 3 people up there, 3
Mead and
lots
Hunt
up there
should
when
be
you
on
do
the
that.
flick for this.
You
because
put 3
that's what I
pipes in that
thought.
pot and it doesn't work, and you trust Mead and Hunt and it doesn't work, Mead and Hunt's already proven they don't come back and fix things, not without one hell of a fight. But now you got 2 houses having backups, potentially 3 if a 3rd house gets put on there, because you put 3 on. Maybe it does work, I don't know. Their engineer's the one saying, yeah, put a Y, and now you can hook 3 houses in. Well,
But their
if
engineers
y'all want
also-
him to use that as a solution, fine, have 2 hookups, one on each lot with a Y,
I don't like it.
and get them to make an agreement and say if it is a problem, then they'll come back and back it with the dollars to put a pot in.
I understand that we have.
can I have a moment, please? Jerome, can you get in writing from Mead and Hunt, right, that it is allowable, acceptable within the engineering design to have 3 connections, a Y, into a pot?
I already have that,
You have it in writing?
yes.
Then why are you guys
I
saying?
have it in writing that they said it can't be done before they
We
made
did
that
have it in
decision.
writing that they said that it can't.
It's in the
The mayor
email.
has it right there.
Dated
Yeah.
emails.
Right.
His neighbor
Read
was
the
supposed to
emails,
hook
all.
into that in that picture.
I'm not talking
I
about
know
email, I'm
all
talking
about
about a
this.
formal document that
That's a
says,
formal document. If I.
email's not a formal document.
Okay.
Only when it's inconvenient, right?
Whose feet are to the fire if it fails? That's the question.
What's that?
Whose feet are to the fire if it fails?
Well, the
If you
simple
got
thing
3
is,
on
that I
one
understand we
septic
have
tank,
VATs
whose
on
feet
a
are to the
plot
fire?
that are extras that have already been paid in the project. It's a hole, a vat, and a pipe to solve the problem and make it go away. I've asked numerous times, how much is that vat to put in the ground and connect it? What is the bare bones cost, not what they want to charge, to solve the problem? Is it 5, 10, or 25? I've
The
asked from
issue,
10 to
Mr.
25.
Peterson, is beyond just digging a hole and sticking a pot in there and gluing it in.
No, it's not.
There's engineering work that has to be done, design changes that have to be made, all right,
They gotta break the system down and cut
all
it
right,
to.
all of
I
that
understand
costs
all that.
money to do.
Only for
Yeah.
him, but not for Mr. Friedman, right? Is that
What's
what you're
that?
saying?
I
Only
don't
for
know
him?
when they did
'Cause
that
I don't
agreement
don't
with
get
Mr.
why the
I
city
don't
has
have
been
anything-
crapping all over
I don't
Mr.
know what
Peterson for the
happened
last
with
2
Mr.
years.
Freeman.
I have been in this ad nauseum. That whole stack of, Scott knows, I've been trying to get this straightened out for Mr. Peterson. I don't understand why the city doesn't do the same damn thing that they're talking about doing to Metro now and saying, put the damn pot in like you promised the man at the beginning, because it was our city that devised the program that allowed the customization of the installation to fit everybody's individual needs. And they went and did it. Mr. Taylor just got up and said that he had a pot moved. what's the other guy's name, John?
Dave Freeman.
Yeah, but there's
Brian
another
Frank-
one.
Frank Freeman.
It's all throughout there.
Frank Freeman,
The
excuse me.
the city, actually, their intention was good, because they were trying to help the
Prior to the
citizens.
the
but
final
it
design
fell through
or
the
after
cracks.
the design?
It fell through the
After
cracks.
the design.
After the design. They moved the pots after the
Yeah,
design.
there wasn't even a work order for Freeman's, Ricky's, or the other guy. There was no change order. Why does he have to have this kind of a hassle when nobody else did? That's what he asked when he first walked up there.
Blows me away that they made that kind of change
Well,
without
it's
a.
because we didn't do proper oversight. Because Con let it fall, because, tell him,
Right,
you know it's
right.
that what I'm saying is right. This was years ago, Steve,
Okay.
when Con,
I can't
why didn't she
change
take
history.
care of that? No, but we can fix it for him. Why don't we hold Metro's feet to the fire, like Scott's saying, hold the money, you know, and then add this to the punch list,
My
right?
question
Why
is,
is that such a big deal?
why
Why does people keep jerking this guy around?
when you're
It
done
makes me
talking,
sick.
let me know when I can talk.
Now you can.
Thank you. If a Y is allowable, if it works, why isn't that a solution?
Because we have
Then
documents
why does
from,
Mr. Freeman not have a Y and not have a pot and run 160 plus distance? The same thing you're asking me to do in the beginning. In the beginning, it was determined.
I can't change
I know
history,
you
Mr.
can't
Peterson.
change it,
I didn't
but
have
you
anything to do
shouldn't
with that.
change it now.
we
Well,
can't
I'm
change
not
it, but
trying
we
to
can fix
change
it.
it. Is
Yes, you
there,
are. You're
are,
trying to tell
Steve.
me I can get a Y
there's
and
two
it'll work.
there's two solutions on the table here, right? If they're both engineering wise work, right?
No, the issue here is why for some and not for me. The
That's the
same
issue.
situation.
That's the issue
That's
right
the
there.
issue. Because I am no
He ain't got
different than
vanilla
what Mr.
lollipop,
Freeman
you
got.
wanted the strawberry.
No,
No, no,
sir.
no.
I
Both
want the
vanilla.
same strawberry that he got.
No,
That's
that's
all I'm
totally off
asking.
base, Steve.
Point of order, one at a time. I just want to give you a little insight. There was 134 applicants that had completed and hooked up. I went through it because there was a comment made that you didn't want to run the length. You found that was not fair. So I went through the 134 that we sent and gave them checks. And I started with addresses that had over 50 feet. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Over 60 feet, from 60 feet to 77 feet. 768 Indian Harbor, 97 feet. 747 Indian Harbor, 106. 148 Gary, 117. 222 Gary, 93. 212 Randall, 200 feet.
I understand that, but here's the thing,
Oh,
had
no.
you put the pot that is in the ground now where it should have been put,
Right.
if I had been denied,
Right.
not even offered the original pot, it would be 50 feet shorter, and it would be in the middle of my two lots that would solve my ability to connect both my lots. But because I agreed, because of what I was told at the beginning, before the shovels even hit the dirt, that pot was gonna be over there. This is my issue. I was told in good faith that that pot was gonna be there. He even told me, Mr. Peterson, where's your septic? I said, right up there by my car and my driveway, over by those mailboxes. He said, you're golden. We're gonna put one right there by the mailbox. You can go 30 feet underneath your driveway, connect. This will take care of your neighbor. This will take care of your property. That was from the supervisor's view of what I could do. So 140 feet, then pick the pot up and move it to where it should have been, had that not been offered to me by the supervisor. I had no reason to question him. It didn't happen. I want it to happen, or you can pick the damn pot up and move it where it should be, and you can tell Mr. Freeman, not Mr. Freeman, Lee Pfeiffer, my neighbor that is connected to it, what you want to tell him. But that's the answer that should have been out of my mouth. But that's not how it was presented to me. Otherwise, I'd gone, you ain't putting that pot there, just like Mr. Fair said, you ain't putting it over there. My house is in the center of these two lots. You're wanting to put it there, put it in front. If I take this down and build, it's supplyable. There is no difference, in my opinion, of what he said and what I would have said had the original pot on the east side by the mailboxes had been put in. If that wasn't gonna be put in, it would not have been put that further over onto my far lot line as it is. So you wanna make it right, pick it up and move it over there. I don't care about 40 less feet. But if you wanna just solve the problem in the cheapest way out, I don't care who pays for it, as long as it ain't me. Put the pot in, that's the most expensive hole of this project that you're going to put in sooner or later. So figure out who's gonna pay for it, get the cut rate installation fee on it, and get it done. You got the pots, all you gotta do is pay the labor. I wouldn't I'd hire 2 Mexicans with the shovels to put the damn thing in. Because it seems like the problem that we got is the bids that Mead and Hunt or MES or whoever is bidding it at $7,000 to make the little lateral on the pot that's already over there. Really? We all thought that was pretty outrageous. Didn't hold water with anybody, not even Mead and Hunt. That's why they came to you and said, hey, we ain't doing this.
Mr. Peterson, one of the things that this commission has to look at, is there anything in writing, not these emails, anything in writing that you were promised to have that put in the center of your property?
No, he took the man's word for it.
Nobody
He didn't even
had
look at
anything
it.
in writing.
He didn't even look at the plans. He just off his head said that. So what do you want me to say? It's a he said, she said? You want to get Lewis back here 2 years later and let him worry about keeping his job? You think he's gonna side with me? No, but that's what I was told. That's what's been presented from day one for 2 years, Mr. Mayor. 2 years.
Ask
Sorry,
Vice Mayor
it changed.
Rimlau if Dave Freeman has anything in writing when that happened. Because he's
Well,
sitting
I
right
know.
next to you.
All I did was call and said that
And look it, imagine if that would have been done the same way. We wouldn't
I
be
didn't
having,
even have to call him. I
now,
was
we're
already
sitting
told it
here
was gonna be
listening to
done.
this for an hour, and you're still sitting over there jerking him around, Mr. Mayor. The man has got a legitimate gripe. He was singled out from a whole 340 freaking homes up there. And no wonder he's upset.
Now,
We've
here's
been
the-
working
here's the
for
last
2 years
item,
to try to
Mr.
get
Mayor.
this straightened out just because our city administrator failed to provide proper oversight.
And MES was your.
It's our fault.
Your
It's the city's
power,
fault.
not Mead and Hunt.
Not
They weren't
his.
Mead and
The,
Hunt.
the man just believed what the supervisor was telling him.
Which you
Is
would
that
expect
wrong?
him to. He's not a plumber, he's not,
Right.
you know,
Right.
he's not an
Nobody
engineer.
It's our- it's the
nobody looked
city's
at any
fault.
plans.
Right.
Okay, I assumed the guy knew what he was talking about. He was the supervisor of the project.
And
Get
why,
Mead and
why
Hunt
wouldn't
to
you
put it
believe
on
it?
your
Coming
punch
down
list
here
or
on your side,
Metro
you're gonna have
or
to go
whatever.
underneath the driveway.
Get it done. I mean,
Or
quit
the
jerking the
street.
man around.
why don't we just go ahead and have it put in?
Just do it. Right.
Add it to the punch list for Metro.
Can we do that, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that your motion?
What's that?
To put the pit where he wants it?
Yes. That's,
And I'll
after all
second
this,
it.
are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
I will
You
second it.
bet. Do you realize that right here, that our agreement at one point was that this guy, his neighbor, was supposed to hook up to this 136 pit? And Dennis issued him a permit to hook up to
To
this
this
pit?
one?
Yes. So that's another
What
thing
a-
that was
What a
stupid.
cluster.
What a
I'm sorry.
cluster, that's right.
It is a cluster,
Now you're in
yes.
my shoes.
Right.
Yeah, but in fairness, shouldn't have taken 2 years.
No shit.
That's a technical term, I've heard that.
Yeah, I've heard it someplace,
I call it like it is.
but it,
Oh, boy.
we'll
I'm
have,
just asking for solve my problem.
yes, we'll have to get a
Not
hold
with
of,
third bad.
we'll have to get a hold of somebody that can get, I think the quote that we got for $7,000 was because they didn't want to do anything else.
That's what Brad Blaze told us.
That's
But
what
Brad
I
Blaze
think.
stood out there with Schwartz
We
and
got a
and
motion on
everybody
the
else,
floor.
Mark, and they all agreed. This is a simple
point of
solution. A little hole, lateral,
Get the hell
and
out
a
of here.
plumber.
If I'm
And
not,
Tonight?
if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Adams, there is still one pit unused, correct?
I have to verify, but I believe that's true.
Yeah.
I say we just get it done.
Yeah, it would be a pit
We
like
got-
in the library.
We've got a motion to install the pit
And
where
you got a
Mr.
second.
Peterson would like it. We got a second. No
So
more
let's do
discussion
it,
that I
right.
can think of. Call for the vote, please.
Mayor Gibson,
Yes. Make this go away.
Vice Mayor Lindblom,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
Yes.
Commissioner Catagano.
Yes.
Commissioner Hyde.
Yes.
Mr. Peterson, thank you.
Thank you for your 3 minutes, Mr. Mayor. And thank y'all for your input.
Thank you, Mayor.
No problem. Sometime I ask tough questions. I not like them, but. Next is sheriff's contract renewal. You have a 10% increase?
I think the contract requires us to send in a letter saying that we would like to renew the contract.
Yes.
And that's what, the administrator is asking, do you want us to him to send a letter saying, yes, we're willing to negotiate a new contract?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's do
Say anything
that.
about the terms or any increase or anything like that.
Just
We
like
just have to
a-
give them notice by July 1st or July 10th or something.
I heard,
We
I
do-
heard it was gonna be 10%.
The increase?
Yeah.
I can
I
pretty
got
much assure you it's not going down.
Yeah, that's for sure.
What did last time? We gotta check that.
Did you?
Well, yeah, he's been very
He's been fair.
good
We
about,
got 40,000.
yes, he walked back and hand delivered it himself.
Yep,
Their
yep.
previous administration did some of that wasn't now.
He's
And I-
been
wasn't a
fair.
criticism of him. The sheriff's department
No.
is excellent, it's just, nothing goes down.
No. All right, send a letter. City goals, same as they have been. Boards and committees. Mike Garman, you got anything tonight?
Two things, but I want to go home too, so I'll be brief.
We hope so.
Oh, come on, be nice. How about this? Florida legislature just added $100 million to the MySafeFloridaHome.com program, which you go to that website and they come out and inspect your house, and this is what we can do to make it, stronger and more hurricane proof, and then they'll, I think it's a 2-for-1. You spend $1, they give you 2. Which is a good deal. Now, I called them and the guy came out. Unfortunately, the inspector evidently got his certificate either from Temu or a Cracker Jack box because he had absolutely no idea what he was looking at, and I advised him to leave now. Thank you very much. Brownfield that we were talking about,
Yes.
Samantha Bergeron and Chris Edwards are managing that for Edgewater and New Smyrna Beach. And they have told me, hey, if we need anything, call. So that would be your contact
Okay.
for them.
All right.
Southeast Volusia Chamber of Commerce has their Economic Development Summit. I think you have the date. And I learned a long time ago, if you can't send anything nice, don't win anything at all. So here's my comment.
Okay.
Next item is Livability Magazine. This is a magazine that says how nice it is to live in Volusia County, and it's a pretty nice magazine. And here is Sevmatech's full-page ad, which they started at $5,000, and after I got done with them, they didn't get anything like that. But anyway, there's copies on the back table. Take them home, they're free. We paid for them. I think it cost about 5 cents per citizen of Oak Hill to do this one. Last item is, well, last Thursday, the Pharaoh would have been proud of me. I moved a piece of papyrus, just like they did 4,500 years ago, from here to DeLand to get it recorded. And I said, there's got to be a better way to do this. And it turns out there are 3 companies that do electronic recording, so basically you just stuff it in the scanner and send it over there. And I talked to all 3 of them. 2 of them said we're only really interested in title companies because they have about this much every day. The third one said, well, if we understand you're a small city, if you get a couple of other small cities involved, we'll work something out. So my question to the commission and to Jerome would be, how many documents do we send over to DeLand for recording? Is this worth fooling with? And my feeling is it would be, because Electrons work really, really cheap.
I can't give you an exact code, but I don't believe that we send that much to them.
Okay.
But that's okay.
How do you get them there? Do you have to send, somebody over there, or, you know, here's the document, we need to record this. What happens to that piece of paper? Where's it go? Who moves it?
Yeah,
Usually it goes in the mail.
Yeah.
To the
You mail
clerk.
it.
To the clerk.
Yeah, you can mail it, or you can take it over there, or you can take it to Daytona.
I wouldn't do that, I would just.
Yeah, that's a waste of time, because they send it by ox cart from Daytona to DeLand. So, if you're interested, and I'll pursue this and find out what they get. It's cheap, and it's fast, so.
I know there's a service like some attorneys who do real estate closings, they can electronically record from their office. I don't know if
Correct,
that's what they're talking about.
that's who these guys are. There, as I say, there's 3 companies, 2 of them only want title companies and attorneys, you know, volume. This guy said, yeah, we'll talk to you if you find enough people. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Public Works.
You
Wait a
want to
minute,
go home.
Wait a minute. Everybody, pay attention. He hasn't asked for any money.
Yeah, he's just waiting.
I did that earlier today, don't worry.
I'll ask for money if he doesn't want to.
No.
Oh.
The answer to you is always no.
Big fat no.
Comments and concerns from the commissioners.
There is one other thing.
One other thing, what?
I'm gonna ask the attorney to agree something with the historical board.
So I've had some conversations with the chairman of the historic board and also with Jerome, short conversations. Basically, the historic board is more or less just running the museum.
Yes.
That's what they do. If you look at our historic board regulation, it says nothing about a museum. That's not a part of their duties. One of the concerns I have was they go down there, the board goes down there, they meet there, they're cleaning, working together, cleaning things. Hey, wouldn't this be a nice thing? Wouldn't we? And there could be inadvertent conversations that should come before them as a board. So what you have potentially, and I've had this before, where you have inadvertent sunshine violations, which is, how do you avoid that? Because you want the people to work together. What we've done in other cities, we just disband the board. So they'll cancel the board, y'all create your own private entity, y'all keep doing what you're doing, and, you know, work with us. That is an option here. The problem is the museum has an ECHO grant. If we do that, if we contract with a private organization, not-for-profit 501c3, to run the museum, we have to go to the county to get approval. Because now we have a new manager, it has to go through the ECHO approval process. So we discussed the idea that the current board members, instead of serving on the board, they will now become volunteers for the city. And they're going to be museum volunteers to run the museum. And now we won't have any board members on our historic board, but that's all they're doing. So what we do, what y'all do with the Historic Preservation Board is something y'all can think about in the future. Let's figure out, are we gonna add more people to it? Are we gonna reconstitute it? Do we need it? Those are issues that y'all can address. But I think the best way to deal with it is to allow the current historic board members who are operating the museum to instead become volunteers to the city. And they will fill out volunteer forms, and they will volunteer their service, doing exactly what we're doing now. And then the chairman would be basically the head person that the head organizer there, deal directly with Jerome, come here, not under a board. She will not be presenting under a city board, under citizens' comments to say, here's an update on what's going on with your museum. So from an ECHO standpoint, we're still in charge of the museum. We're in compliance. We don't have to go get the county approval. We address any potential sunshine law violation issues by having them talk about what's the best way to deal with the museum while they're technically all board members of the Historic Preservation Board. And there's a thought that they may get more participants as the volunteers as opposed to board members. There's an issue getting board members on that board. So just want to mention that that's the direction administratively we're going with the museum. It's up to y'all. to, you know, I mean, people can quit your board, you can't do anything about that.
Yes.
So if they decide, hey, we're not gonna do this, we're gonna volunteer,
Yeah.
nothing you do about that anyway. But what you wanna do long-term for the museum, I mean, not for the museum, for the
To the
historic.
board.
For the historic board, it's my understanding y'all indicated previously you did not wanna get into historic preservation, into historic architecture requirements. In Lake Helen, that is a very big thing. They have their own historic preservation board, and they review all design criteria and everything like that. And
No.
if you wanna go that route, got a great model in Lake Helen, you can follow it. But my understanding is y'all indicated you didn't wanna get into the aesthetic architecture for historic purposes. So probably long-term, you gotta think about what, you know, what is gonna be the purpose of the historic board and going forward. But the museum is gonna operate from the outside looking in, it's not gonna be different, but we think it's gonna be more streamlined, certainly more compliance-oriented, if you will, with the law. We don't have to worry about controlling what is said outside of a meeting, because they're, you know, as volunteers, they're not governed by the Sunshine Law. So just want to kind of give you that update on how that's going to proceed. We have 5 years left on our ECHO grant. Once that expires, then you're out from under the restricted covenants of ECHO, and you have more freedom as to what to do over there. And at that point, it may be better, the volunteers could go and form their own non-for-profit corporation, 501c3, it could be some, you know, museum, kind of a, similar to what we did with the, well, it turned into the school, but we had
The ballpark.
what was it, we created the
Community garden?
community trust.
Minute.
Remember we created,
Oh, yeah.
the community trust, we created the community trust, and ultimately that was turned over to private individuals to run. You know, initially it was the city created it, and then pretty quickly it turned over to private individuals to run, and I think that's now they run the Burns Elementary, right, or the Burns Technical School.
Yeah.
So that may be what we do, is we end up contracting, I'm not suggesting we get rid of the museum, but maybe if they, 5-6 years from now, when the grant's up, they can create their own not-for-profit, they can do their own fundraising for the city, and we contracted with them to manage the museum. We still own the museum, I wouldn't suggest getting rid of ownership, but there is other ways to do it, but doing that today with the grant, ECHO grant in place would be problematic.
I don't know that this is true, but there could be another layer in there, is that we're now a part of the National Historic Museum
The National Registry, yeah.
Registry. Does that drive any kind of, I don't know. I'm
No one
just,
brought that up to me, so we'll deal with it if it is.
okay, I just, I know we're.
Just want to kind of give you an update. That's
We're a
kind
part of that now, so.
After 9.
If you're saying it is when they're out there.
Well, I mean, you know, it's ridiculous. It's after 9. We're out. Let's move on.
Nada.
Nothing from me either.
No.
Bill?
One quick thing, found out in my last TPO meeting that the Turnbull Creek Bridge south of the city on US 1, in 2025, they're going to replace the northbound side of the bridge. My question, of course, was, well, if you're gonna replace the northbound, why not replace the southbound? And I asked that to the director of the DOT, and he got back with me later that afternoon. But that, when they widened US 1 south, that was the new bridge. And it was done in 2006, so it's not ready to be replaced. But the northbound one is, so they're gonna replace that. Nothing new on the Maytown interchange or the traffic light. And I just wanted to thank Mark and the staff for that wonderful display with all the flags at
Yes,
That looked
very
good.
nice.
Yes.
corner for Memorial Day. It looked really nice. I got a lot of compliments on it. So that's all I have.
I only have one thing, horses in the park. Over the past month, one day there was, and I got pictures of it, 2 horse trailers, 2 big trucks occupying half of the parking lot. The people that were riding the horses occupied the other part. This, and now, she no longer takes up all of the parking places, but she's now parking on the grass next to Larry Zonka. if we're gonna do something with this, the city attorney sent some options that we need to look at. But now that it's summer, it's every day. And the day that the 2 horse trailers were there, there was a family with 3 little kids using the boat ramp, which the horses use, and they were out playing in the water. I'm a firm believer that it's gonna fall on the city liability-wise if we don't come up with something. Either disallow horses in the park, like Edgewater, or, as city attorney said, come up with an agreement between businesses that want to do business in the parks. That creates a big issue because Nancy Cummings Park and Mary DeWeese has birthday parties. What do they rent? Bounce houses. Now you got business activity in that park. And I don't believe that we require, if I rent the park for a birthday party, I get liability coverage on that bounce house on city property. Just something to think about, but we need to take care of this.
Agreed.
And everybody, is there a motion?
Here it is.
Yeah.
Everybody, thank you. Be careful going home.
Raining out there? Okay. Good night, gentlemen. Good night, gentlemen.
Good night. Hey, Linda,
You cut.
be careful going home.
Yes, sir. You know I can't see.
I know. That's why I said, be careful going home.
Hope the car knows where it's going.
You got one of them fancy ones, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Let it drive me home.
You got a self-driving car?
Yeah, she has a self-driving car. Closes her eyes and steps on the gas.
Get out of the way.
We're gonna take you to lunch.
I'm not sure.
It's a moot point now. We're just gonna-
I don't care. Streets and roads, get your shovels, dig holes, and put that back video.
If we got it, I can put it in, but I can tell you where there is one extra one. There's an extra one in front of Molly Taylor's house at 222. They, unfortunately, they do a lot of things.
I get the right one here this time.
Off the cuff, so to speak. They put it
Scott,
down
have a
in
good
her
evening.
house
Be
because
careful
they didn't
going
want to
home.
take up the concrete. But if you look, I have the construction plans. It
Got a
shows
big
it's
car,
supposed to be
you gotta look
here,
out for me.
and it's been services for neighbor. But because it was gonna fall into concrete, which a bunch of them did, they just said, we're gonna put this one in the middle of your yard, and we're gonna put this one in the middle of your yard. So they both have their own individual hookup because they didn't want to tear up. Look how many driveways they tore up already.
Yeah,
but they
exactly.
didn't
What's
want
one
to
more?
tear up.
Okay, I'll do the I'll give you that resolution. I'll do an updated resolution for that. I'll do an updated resolution on the, 2100, 3500. And then I'll do a, ordinance, I'll work on the ordinance for the, charter.